How's it going, everybody? This is the Uncanny Omar from Near Mint Condition, and where I'll come to your very first live stream of 2025. Well, the very first comics-related live stream of 2025, and that is the solicitations for Marvel Comics for April of 2025. I am not alone. I do have some friends joining me, so I'm going to let the guy that is holding his breath introduce. Are you eating? Are you seriously eating on my live stream?
I haven't had lunch yet. I'm sorry.
I haven't had breakfast.
I bet you better prove your sugar is low and you have to eat something.
I'm about to pass out.
Okay, fair enough.
Now we know what he's doing behind that mask.
Now the guy now we totally know what he's been doing behind the mask. Who are you?
I'm the very hungry Omnidog from Omnidog's Vault on YouTube, Instagram, all the socials, and I'm pleased to be here. Thank you for inviting me to be on very fine condition. It's nice.
All right, and Omnidog's Vault links. Thank you, James, for that. To his right is Crisis with a K. Who are you, my friend?
Well, you took the words right out of my mouth. I'm Crisis. I have my home on the internet at crushingcrisis.com, where there are collecting guides and reading orders to so much of the Marvel Universe, including this Monday, Craven, for some reason. I am so happy to be here talking about the lists and all the books that are coming out, because let me tell you, I read a lot of comics that are in this catalog, and I've got some things to say, but we'll get to that.
All right, and thank you again, James, our forever Oracle, for the links. And right below me, dude, what happened to your books, Curtis?
I'm not at home right now. I am visiting some family in the States, and so I get this lovely blue background instead of my library. I do miss my library. I am looking forward to getting home. I have packages waiting to be opened, and stuff that I've bought to be stuck on those shelves. I'm sure you can all relate.
Yeah.
But I am Curtis with a K from the Epic Marvel Podcast, and I am happy to be here on this is my first live stream of 2025.
Well, I'm happy you're here, man. And I like the headset and the blue background. Makes you look like a fighter pilot. You look pretty badass, Curtis. Thank you. DC Finest and Epic Podcast. All right.
I mean, he looks like he's shooting blue screen scenes for being in a X-Wing or something, you know?
So that is this wall is used for VFX, and so that's why it's blue. But I'm just in a soundproof room.
I can't wait for Curtis's appearance in the next Star Wars movie.
And last but not least, who are you, sir?
I'm Dom of X. Happy New Year, folks. And to everybody in the live stream, hope you're doing well. I am the assistant editor of comicreleases.com and also the manager of this channel. And I would just like to say, this big old light thingy-o-mabob came in the mail today. So,
what is it for?
What he should ask his mom.
This is I know a lot of people have been asking me to get better lighting for these streams and also the videos that I do on this channel. So my mom bought this for me for Christmas, and I was pleasantly surprised to open it.
Nice.
Dude, that thing is a beast. That's the one I use. And it makes it look like a sun is in there. And it's all about filtering it and capturing the right angle. Oh, have fun with that. Curtis the Technician and Dom of X is on Blue Sky as well as Comic Releases and as well as here. And is the light blinding you, Dom? Because
no. This is what I usually look like when I'm playing basketball. So
with a Marvel jacket, you play basketball with a Marvel jacket.
Oh, you know it. I have to ball out as a Spider-Man dunking on Venom on all my opponents.
Right, represent. What are you eating?
I'm eating a protein bar.
So today we are going to be looking at the April solicits. two masterworks that were in here were taken out because I haven't announced them yet. So worry not, the masterworks are in here. They did not skip any. In case people are freaking out that there weren't any masterworks in this round, they are there. I'm just gonna see if I can announce them all together at one time, like people like. But this should be available everywhere here in a couple of weeks. Every other website. We're just very blessed to get this early from David Gabriel and his team at Marvel Comics. So, looking at April solicitations, meaning the dates are gonna be, oh my goodness, June, July, August. I think. I don't know if there's I think there's September books in here. So yeah, June, July, August, and September. Please, for the love of God, give us more Punisher.
Can you do me a favor and just this cracked me up? Leslie Ann Sales at 237.
237. Let me see if I can find it.
I want to.
It's a while. You do an Omnidog chat. My goodness. You're on the back here. Thank God Omnidog is here. I feel much safer. Safe from what?
I know.
safe from reading? What are we talking about?
Whoa.
What? my first pun of the. I'm sorry.
God, wow.
Sorry.
Shots over a fan. Wow.
Sorry about
Jeez.
Jess, if you're in the protein bars, what are we talking about here? Bear Bells is the bet. Is that your New Year's resolution? You've given up the root beer for protein bars?
No, I have a goo cluster right here, buddy. I'm going to be eating this afterwards. I need energy. But yeah.
Legacy Omnibus. I want this to be a Jess-friendly stream. Not going to happen, Max. Not going to happen. Sober or intoxicated, it's never going to happen. Unless it's like Jess's birthday. Maybe.
He got a nice cream
special advice for NMC,
channel.
as well as you should. I'm gonna start. I'll put an NMC brand protein bar. I'm gonna feel sorry for Jess, and I never feel sorry for Jess. He can attest to that.
Xbox, bite me.
Goo cluster. Hey, easy now. You just had somebody telling you that you make them feel safe. Goo cluster sounds like something Dupe would eat.
Okay, we'll see, because we have Jeff the Shark. He eats everything.
Don't pick on fans, Omar. What did we ever do to you? On second thought, don't answer that. Yeah, you were just shipping me to Canada to trade off with Curtis. I saw that. Scarlet Witch. No, not really so much Scarlet Witch. It was more Omar just said, let's leave those out for now. All right. So this is one of the. Yeah, Joe, welcome to the party. I think Joe's Canadian, Curtis. I can't remember where Joe's from. If you want to say hi to him in your native tongue.
Hello.
There you go. I love bringing people from across the world together. We got any New Zealanders here? I got that covered too. No news on Uncanny Volume 6. I'm so sorry. No news. I'm Portuguese, dude. My bad.
He could still be in Canada.
Yeah. Right?
Canada welcomes everyone.
Do they, Curtis? Is that true?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. You're very welcome, Max. All right. So, without further ado, are there any surprises? There's a couple, I think, that haven't been anywhere.
Yeah, there's been one.
So we have this book right here. It's Fantastic Four: Solve Everything. This is part of the Marvel Premiere Collection. This is their new format that they're doing. It's a smaller size book. It's very reminiscent of their digest size. And for people that are wondering if it's going to they're competing to the DC Compact. They're bigger than the DC Compact, but they're also $5 more than the DC Compact. DC Compacts, I think, are $9.99. These are $14.99. So if you've seen like the Mighty Marvel Masterworks, for example, they're not built the same, but they are the same dimensions.
Are these hardcover?
No, they're
okay.
trade.
So this one is the most interesting out of all of the ones that have been announced because they are actually recutting this story to fit in 400 pages. because this is probably like an 800-page story, right? No, it's like 3 Epic Collection size books, I think. But they are streamlining it and condensing it so that you get the full Hickman run of Fantastic Four in 400 pages. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work, but it'll be interesting to see.
Well, it's not the entirety of the
Yeah,
run.
this is the first 18 issues.
It's like the first hunk, which kind of is the Fantastic Four focused hunk of it before the Future Foundation like really becomes the focus. But you are right,
but it still is streamlined.
Yeah, and it doesn't have the Dark Reign mini at the beginning as the Hickman stuff often does. And also, this does not line up with the existing complete collections. I think a lot of people expect these to be kind of just like complete collections but shrunk down. But I was just looking on my guides, and it actually goes past where the break is in those. So you are right that it's actually a really good buy if you've always wanted to read Hickman, but you're not an omnibus person. You don't want to hunt down all the completes. It's a huge hunk of his run.
I think complete one ends at 583, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, it's a pretty big book. And yeah, you're right. If you've never read Hickman.
And Hickman is the one abridging this, so I think he's the one choosing which parts to leave and cut out as opposed to Marvel doing it. So I'm interested to see what they decide to cut from the regular issues 570 to 588.
So solve everything. And oh my goodness. Okay. We promise we'll come back to this one. Because I know that Peter and I probably will spend a long time talking about this and what it means for the future. But this is X-Men Blue and Gold, Mutant Genesis Omnibus, and collecting Adjectiveless X-Men 1 through 16, Annual number 1, Uncanny 281 to 297, Annual 16, Ghost Rider 26 and 27, X-Factor 84 through 86, X-Force 16 through 18, Strike Files number 1, and material from X-Factor Annual 7, X-Force Annual 1, Marvel Comics Presents 89, and X-Men Odd Men Out. 1,360 pages, $150. This is one of the books that we put together, I think, 2 years ago, and I put it up on the poll, and I think it was our number 1 voted this past year. And before that, I think it might have been just this past year. I can't remember. I know that Extinction Agenda had been there for a couple of years. This one I thought was in there for a couple of years too, but it's a lot more than just Extinction Agenda. I'm sorry, Executioner's Song and Bishop's Crossing put together. They are remapping it to kind of look like the Epic collections, which is Curtis can tell you a little bit more about that. The Bishop's Crossing Epic collection.
Well, I mean, it's just collecting both of the runs Uncanny X-Men kind of side by side. That's kind of what they're doing. So, like, I'm assuming that the old version of this was just because it was just the Jim Lee era X-Men, right? I don't remember at all what the old.
So you're talking about so there was never an omnibus of this era outside of.
Oh, okay.
Well, there was Claremont and Lee omnibus, right? But
right, I guess that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, Executioner's Song and Bishop's Crossing had never been collected in omnibus format. They're just been collected in OHCs. So what they did is put 2 oversized hardcovers together, remap it with those. Because, I mean, if you think about it, this is the formation of the Gold and Blue. God dang it, I said I would not spend too much time on this. But there is a lot of genuine confusion with this. And one of the biggest questions that I've seen is, does this include Shattershot? And I think what people are asking is, they're confused what the Shattershot OHC is. Because Shattershot OHC has a lot more than just Shattershot. This omnibus right here does have the Shattershot story mapped properly where it belongs, whereas Shattershot the OHC was, oh crap, we still have this annual we didn't collect. What are we gonna do? Well, let's put it together with these other missing X-Men and call it X-Men Shattershot. And I can almost guarantee that's what the collected editions offices did back then. We're playing a different game now. Now it's like, okay, let's remap everything and see about a new start to these collections. The problem comes in the form of the book that we voted for, Phalanx Covenant, which is coming out, oh my gosh, here in a couple of months. So had we known about this, or maybe they didn't even know they were going to, actually I can guarantee they didn't even know they were going to do this, because they just kind of came up with this book at about 2 months ago. I definitely would have suggested maybe adding the missing issue 17. I think it's 17 through 24 and
Right.
annual number 2, which are part of the OHC of Shattershot. We need one of those Mutant Massacre maps,
Yeah.
Peter. Yeah,
I'm restraining myself, but I think the thing I think if you're thinking in terms of omnibuses, you're going to need a visual map because it kind of and OHCs because it crosses over a lot of things. I think the thing to think about is
Fatal
this is
Attraction.
really
Sorry, Fatal Attraction is not Phalanx Covenant. Sorry,
Yeah.
that was not announced. Go ahead.
well, and that's a really good point. That Fatal Attractions is like an epic omnibus, or not. An event omnibus. It has things from all different parts of the line. If you look at the way this is mapped, this is very much based on the epic line. I'm not going to go crazy explaining it, but if you go look at Bishop's Crossing and Executioner's Song, this has pretty much that material, adding just X-Men 1 through 3 beforehand, adding Uncanny 297 at the end, and having all of Shattershot. But in terms of the actual mapping of X-Men and Uncanny, this is very much an epic based omnibus, and I will save the rest of my commentary for when Omar and I do a mapping stream.
And that's the other question too. I hope this doesn't mean that the Claremont and Lee Omnis won't get reprinted in favor of remapping. I'll be honest, when you have Chris Claremont and Jim Lee on a book, I think that's one that will forever be. We'll keep coming back. We're missing 17 through 24.
The name value is a huge selling point.
And annual number 2. Don't forget about annual number 2, which is also part of that Shattershot.
Yeah, but we're not really missing it because that runs alongside other issues of Uncanny that are not in here as well. That would be the next.
You could remap Shattershot, and you could remap Wedding of Cyclops and Phoenix.
Well, that's going to happen because the epics are mapped differently than those books, and this is
well.
An epic
If that's
anyway.
going to happen, then what the hell is going to happen with the damn it, I keep saying that. The Fatal Attractions.
It's the event line. It's totally different. It's a totally
okay,
different line.
Marvel Comics.
I see the plan.
Okay. So does this mean Massacre versus? It's
yes.
Well, not yet because we're not reprinting. What's it called? X-Men by Jim Lee and Chris Claremont Volume 2. Then you would have the case of, is it Mutant Massacre versus Uncanny 5? Yeah, you have 2 ways to go about it.
Did you know that
what
1
book
and
is
2 are out of
X-Men?
print?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you remember
what is X-Men Odd Men Out?
That's
That
a
was a-
2008 one shot that was published. Then I think it had Roger Stern. It's like it was a flashback, right, Pete? If my mind reserves correctly.
Yeah.
It's a retro book.
Okay.
Wow, Dom's so friendly with Crisis. He called him Pete. Wow.
Yeah, what's going on
That
with
doesn't
that?
really work unless you're from South Philly.
Should just add what's left of Shattershot to this OHC. So then we're talking about 17 to 24 plus an annual. That's a lot of pages, and it's 13.
It doesn't work because those issues run alongside more issues of Uncanny. Let it go, everybody. It's not a collection of the OHCs. It's an epic mapped book.
Wait a minute.
has
Does the singing
answers
work?
here.
Does that really calm people down?
I don't
It's
know.
having
Maybe.
the opposite
Or maybe it
effect
riles
on
them up.
me, Peter.
I'm just
I'm
trying to channel Dazzler. Look, I have light effects.
Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah. So this is why people have suggested doing the mapping stream with us. I think we're gonna need some visuals though because it's kind of a lot. The beauty is, if you're new to Omnis, man, do you have options. But if you're an old man collector that's been getting these for 20 years, you're gonna be like, wait a second. Do I really want to rebuy all them issues just to get 2 OHCs I'm missing? Yeah, you got all these. We got problems, man. The old guard's got problems. Anyway, we'll come back to this. I promise.
He promises.
Symbiote Spider-Man. I did take some notes as to what needed to be added on this. It was the Absolute Carnage one-shot. And there was something else, though. This is the retro series. Somebody was talking about the retro series with the Odd Man Out. This is the same thing that Peter David was doing with the Symbiote Spider-Man, taking place during the Black Costume Saga. So it was when him and Felicia were the will they, won't they couple. And, man, the Crossroads, I think it might be my favorite. I love what he did with King in Black, because if you're like, wait, this is a retro series, how is Null going to fit into all of this if it took place back in the 80s? Peter David figured out a way, and it's pretty cool. But the Crossroads is so freaking good, especially if you like that Bill Mantlo Hulk era of or yeah, the era of Hulk that he was writing, Crossroads. Oh man, it's solid. I just finished reading Symbiote Spider-Man. That is the only one that is not drawn by Greg Land. The rest of the miniseries are all drawn by Greg Land. So this one is collecting Symbiote Spider-Man Alien Reality, King in Black, Crossroads, and Symbiote Spider-Man 2099. The King in Black has been collected in omnibus format before. It's in the King in Black omnibus. This one is 600 pages and $100.
And say what you will about Greg Land, but if you want to see a guy in a mask with his legs spread really wide, Greg Land knows how to do that. So he can draw Spider-Man.
Okay.
Can you scroll back up top a little so we can see a little of Felicia?
Yeah.
See, that's good, Greg Land. I think he's drawing Felicia well there.
Do you want to see the original picture that was from? Check yes or no. Namor, the Submariner Omnibus, finally. Peter, you do all these mappings and write-ups for your website, so you probably are the person to ask. Namor is the one character that was lacking from 70s Marvel, like 60s, 70s Marvel. We've got just about every other character collected. Now, I'm not talking about like the stuff with Human Torch and the team up stuff, but as far as like the main series who had their own titles, do we have everything now?
In terms of people who have masterworks hitting an omnibus line that were like headliners,
Yes.
I feel like Kazar's right on the line of like, do we think he's a headliner or not? Because he doesn't have a Silver Age.
That's right. Yeah.
Omnibus.
Well,
but this one, but he
stuff.
doesn't have the 1980 omnibus. We were waiting for this for a long, long time. Yeah. And Mariner, there was always the question of like, why are we waiting so long? But I think before he was in Black Panther, we didn't have the MCU effect on him, and they were a little bit tentative because generally, historically, his books didn't sell really well. But once they got him into Epic, and now he's been in the MCU, it feels like there's a safer space to go out and try having a Silver Age omnibus. I have no insider information, unlike Omar, but I would wager that this print run would not be as large as, say, a Iron Man or Thor omnibus print run. But that is pure Crisis speculation, blowing hot air.
I hope it is. I don't know. I know that the timely omnis didn't sell that well, the pre-war and the post-war. But I mean, those are also, Golden Age books. I'm not sure how this will sell. I know that Curtis is probably upset because the Epic went from volume 1 to 3 and it missed volume 2. And this does have the content of volume 2. Curtis, how does that make you feel?
Oh, so angry.
That's right. Get the Canadian anger.
It does. It does.
He's
probably
down in America now, so
that,
he can feel anger. Yeah.
That volume 2 is probably not going to come until the selling window of this Omni has passed for sure. So we'll probably go on to volume 5 or 6 or something like that. But I mean that it's the same case with a lot of these things. I think what was it? There's another book that was announced recently that was like, oh yeah, well I guess that means the epics will have to wait a little bit. It happens.
I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I mean, look at the window between New Avengers Epic and New Avengers reprint of the Omnibus.
But that's New Avengers, like Pete was saying earlier.
You Pete. Everybody calling you Pete now.
No, that's not gonna work.
Like Crisis was saying earlier, Submariner isn't necessarily the bestseller, so I don't to see the Omni and the Epic same material coming out at the same time.
This is true. Curtis can always flex the upcoming big time Epic. That's when I can get angry. That's not fair. That's not fair. Oh yeah, baby. Curtis and I can talk about this one actually because the Epic we did an announcement of is a little different than this. We are back to Ghost Rider Danny Ketch Omnibus Volume 2. This I didn't even talk about what's collected in this. I'm so sorry. Sorry about that. For people that can't read it because it is kind of tiny font. This is collecting the Submariner #1 plus his appearances, or rather reappearances into the Silver Age with Fantastic Four 4, 6, 9, 14, 27, and 33 in annual #1. Avengers 3 and 4, XMen 6, Daredevil 7, and then material from Tales to Astonish 70 through 101, and that's because he was sharing that magazine. Iron Man and Submariner number 1, and then they split off and broke up. And Tales of Suspense 79 and 80, and Strange Tales 107 and 125, and not brand 149. 912 pages, $125. This stuff has been collected in Masterwork format, and it is currently being collected in Epic format. Okay, now, sorry about that. Ghost Rider Danny Ketch Omnibus Volume 2. Yes! Oh my gosh! A year after I made the announcement of Ghost Rider Danny Ketch 1, we got the announcement of this, and here it finally is, and the solicits with Ghost Rider 25 through 40, Ghost Rider Blaze Spirits of Vengeance 1 through 13, much like the mapping of X-Men Gold and Blue. I am so happy that they're doing that they're putting the Spirits of Vengeance with Ghost Rider, because they go hand in hand. Morbius the Living Vampire 1 and 12, Darkhold Pages from the Book of Sins 1 and 11, Night Stalkers 1 and 10, Ghost Rider Captain America Fear, X-Men 9, Web of Spider-Man 95 and 96. Oh, that's right, Spirits of Venoms, Midnight Suns Unlimited number 3, and material for Marvel Comics Presents 119 and 130, Midnight Suns Unlimited 1 and 2, and the Marvel Holiday Special number 3, 1,312 pages, $150. And this has a lot of iconic stories, like from my youth. I love the issue 25, the one that you kick it off with, has this pop out, like it's like a pop-up of Ghost Rider fighting Blackout. I don't think they'll do it in the omnibus. It would be really cool, but I think it's just going to be a flat double page spread. But man, when that thing pops up, oh, it's so cool. It's got the Rise of the Midnight Suns in here. And it's got the other crossover later on too. Plus the crossover with Web of Spider-Man for Spirits of Venom. Johnny is older brother.
So this is another instance, like we had the Danny Ketch Epic Volume 1, and then they skipped and they've announced that we're going to do Volume 6. And this Omni is the reason why we're jumping ahead to Volume 6, because it takes place after this one. Doesn't line up perfectly. This one, what is this one? This one ends with issue 40, Ghost Rider issue 40, and then Epic Volume 6 begins with Ghost Rider 44. But this is how they're going to map it. Yeah, I am also glad that they're putting in Ghost Rider and Blaze. We weren't sure where that was going to fit in these epics at all.
Yeah.
Now, Curtis, if you were a betting man, would you say that that confirms they will be in the Epic line in full since they're in this omnibus?
I think so. I think the page counts add up to that. I can't remember exactly, but I think we mapped it out that there was room for it for sure. And Volume 6 of the Epic does include Ghost Rider Blaze issues 17 and 18, although they're part of a crossover, so it's not a good gauge to whether or not.
I think the first hold on. Dom, is the first volume still in stock, buddy?
Should be.
Okay, there's your answer. Should be.
Should be.
Yes.
That's my.
Whoa! I didn't know about
This
this.
is a big one.
This
This is great.
this was a big surprise. One of the biggest surprises of the year in 2025 to come out. Man, Michael Golden's, first of all, it's so good. So this is the NAM 1966, 1969 omnibus. It does have two covers. It's got the Michael Golden cover from issue number 1, and it's got the Romita Senior Ron Friends cover from an interesting issue where those characters do make a cameo, even though this is taking place in a different universe, right? Because we are talking about like the Vietnam War, and there are no superheroes. There are characters in the comic, within the comic, that read about superheroes, but those characters do make an appearance here. So this is collecting the NAM issues 1 through 45, and then Savage Tales 1 and 4, which is where it's not the same characters, but it's the same kind of creative team. Doug Murray, Michael Golden, Wayne Vincent, and John Severin, and I think Pepe Moreno are the main artists on that. This is 1,120 pages, $125. Yes, Golden's. This is so true. His artwork is amazing in this. He really gave it all, and there's some beautiful stuff in here. And I love what whatever comic book writers had to work with the comics code. There were some things they couldn't get away with that they wanted to do, and how they worked around it was really cool. There is enough material for the second one, which will have the Punisher issues, the Punisher and the Nom. So hopefully this will
title
do
of
well.
this one, the
Go ahead.
title of this having a 1966 to 1967 might be a little confusing because these comics were not made in 1966, 69. I mean, it's just the era that these comics take place. The really cool thing about this title is that each issue is 1 month of the war, and so the next issue follows the next month, and it progresses a month at a time throughout the series. And so this is collecting those years that this series takes place in.
And
Well,
what's
it's
really
almost
cool,
like it's an Ultimate Spider-Man tie-in. No, nobody's reading Ultimate Spider-Man. Tom,
No,
I understood the joke.
don't say anything.
Oh.
And not only was it like taking place in real time with the months, or I'm sorry, as far as like the time it took in between issues, a month would pass in those years, but they weren't allowed to serve more than a year's time, right? So the cast changes a lot through here. It's really cool. It's a great book. And it was
I'm really happy about this. This is a total surprise to me. I think it's great.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. If you're like any of like Larry Hama's G.I. Joe, Doug Murray was his buddy, and Larry Hama's the one that got him on board to do this because he was the editor at the time, at least for the first year. Okay, here's a classic.
Or not.
No, wait, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Peter. Go ahead.
Just that, this is really unique in that it's not G.I. Joe, right? It does happen in an ostensible Marvel universe, but it's not a hero book, as Omar pointed out. So it's almost like seeing Marvel do indie, and it's not like New Universe or something. It's the ostensible Marvel universe with tiny hints that it occupies the same space as Marvel. But today, Marvel would probably never do a book like this that's no superheroes, that's just regular people living out a historical event in the Marvel universe. So it's a really unique artifact. It's even different than Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos, if you've read that in Epic Collection or in Masterworks, because that was kind of trying to make like very exciting superhero-esque missions for them in World War II. This is very grounded in the actual history of the Vietnam War. And so it's a very different kind of comic book.
Raw, Micronauts, Godzilla, G.I. Joe, Mike Grell's Warlord, and now Nam. Gen X age collectors are eating good these last few years. Represent. And we're also getting Transformers, the compendium. Yeah, the Marvel era. I'm in. I'm happy. And then it'll be the millennials' turn. Although they're getting a lot of Ultimate Spider-Man. That's a millennial book, right? Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate X-Men, Ultimate Fantastic Four. Those coming out in omnibus format. Jess, this is one for your generation, my friend. The Mighty Thor Omnibus Volume 5. So this is collecting issues 229 to 266 and the annual number 5 and 6, Marvel Spotlight 30 and Marvel Premiere 26. But you also weren't a fan of Thor, right? Like
Boomer Thor. Yeah, I'm on board.
Boomer Thor. I said your generation. I left it open. Okay. So I know you had given up on like Stan Lee's Thor, but did you ever read past his Thor run, like Roy Thomas's run?
No.
So this is all new to you. This is all new.
It will remain all new.
Say no more. This is why I bring you on the streams. Curtis, this has been available in Epic format.
Yeah, this lines up with the last half of Epic number 7. It goes through all of Epic number 8 and the beginning of Epic number 9.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, I stopped getting the Masterworks many years ago. Like, oh man, I think I sold all my Masterworks 7-8 years ago. So the Epics is how I had been reading a lot of these stories were new to me, unless Marvel had collected them in some kind of like Marvel Premiere format, the old Marvel Premiere hardcover format, or some kind of weird trade paperback here and there. But yeah, this was all new to me. What about you, Crushing Crisis? When you are writing the documentation for these, do you go back and read these and how to find them? Because I know, and if you're not familiar with Peter's wonderful website, Crushing Crisis, he goes into full detail, how to make videos of reading orders with I'm like, this trade paperback fits here, and this is why. He does that in my the details that he puts in are just insane, which are wonderful. But he does it in written documentation, has been doing it for 20. How old is Dom again?
Not quite as old as Don. The
Okay.
website is, but the Crushing Crisis, the comics part isn't. Well, I'll say this: when you're doing a big character like this, I promise I won't take too long on this aside, but it becomes less about what they're doing in their own title, because what are you going to say? What Thor does in every issue? At that point, you really are just a fandom page. It really becomes fitting in what he's doing outside of his title, right? Like, where does Thor in Roger Stern's Avengers fit in, or where does Thor making a guest appearance in Captain America fit in? So for any kind of reading order that's about a big character, Thor, Daredevil, Spider-Man, it actually becomes more about where they are outside of their own book, because they have their own book and their own book is numbered sequentially. And it's very easy to just say, hey, read these sequential issues. So I actually haven't read a lot of the late 70s, early 80s of a lot of the big Marvel characters, because I didn't need to for the guides. And that's why I love my Epic collection so much, because I actually love Thor. He's one of my favorite characters, but the Marvel Masterworks were so far along by the time I was art collecting. I think they were past a dozen volumes, and there's just no way to catch up. So I'm really eager to get Epics. I don't know if I'd ever go in on an omnibus, just because I've got the Epics, and we all know I'm on Team Curtis.
But what?
We're, by the way, about 2 omnibuses still between here and Walt Simonson.
And the Walt Simonson will be remapped, reworked in with the original colors.
Yeah.
This stream is going to convince Mrs. Hound I'm more dead than alive. I'm so sorry. They usually wait a long time between these, about a year or so. But they have been announcing these as the movies are coming out. This is the Marvel Studios Captain America Brave New World, the art of the movie hardcover slipcase. This is 224 pages, $100. So they're back to doing slipcases of them. And this is the SpiderMan Gang War Omnibus. Not the original Gang War, but the new Gang War. And this is collecting Amazing Spider-Man Gang War First Strike, Amazing Spider-Man 39 through 44, Gang War, Daredevil 1 through 4, Deadly Hands of Kung Fu 1 through 3, Jackpot, Luke Cage, Gang War 1 through 4, Miles Morales, Spider-Man 13 through 16, and Spider-Woman 1 through 4. And I want to say the Spider-Woman, is that the one with Steve Fox?
It is.
Yeah, I like that book. That was solid. I like that. That was an interesting start because it's in the middle of a crossover. But I mean,
that's how Spider-Woman gets a lot of her comics started. Her original Dennis Hopeless run started in the middle of Spider-Verse. Yeah.
Deadpool started in the middle of Secret Invasion. So, yeah. 680 pages, $100. So this is part of the Seb Wells era. If and when they make a Seb Wells omnibus, do I expect them to include everything in here? No, just this Amazing Spider-Man Gang War First Strike and the Amazing Spider-Man issues, and that's it. This is all the little miniseries that tie in to Gang War, and this is a hot take. I enjoyed Dark Web more than Gang War. Secret ingredient, Wreck Rat.
That's my man.
Gang War was actually pretty solid. I think I'll wait for the Paulnibus. Nobody likes Paul. The Miles Morales Spider-Man tie-ins for Gang War was badass. I like the direction that book was going. And I think Rick Rapp is here to stay, isn't he? That's
based on the scene in Amazing Spider-Man 60, I think we have not seen the last of Rick Rapp.
Which means more John Romita Jr. drawing him next year when Joe Kelly takes over the book full time.
This is feigning excitement.
Melanie was she hasn't been reading Zeb Wells Peter or Spider-Man. She's like, who's Wreck Rap? It's Parker spelled backwards. And she was like, what? I love breaking news to her and Jess. Two people that I assume watch my channel. Storm, Volume 1, Earth's Mightiest Mutants. I'm hearing a lot of praise about this book by Murewa Ayadole. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Curtis, is that right?
It sounds right to me, but I'm not sure.
Everybody, if I'm wrong, blame Curtis. Collecting Storm 1 through 5, $17.99. Lucas Wernick.
Wernick's art in this is, Dom, I know you've been reading this too, right?
Indeed. It's my second favorite of the line, I think.
Yeah, Wernick's art is just unbelievable. If you thought he was great in Immortal X-Men, I feel like this is a linear, if not exponential, level up from how good he looked in Immortal X-Men. And I mean, Dom, I'm so interested to hear what you think, because we haven't talked about it at all. This book is like a fever dream. It's like a poem. Like, it just has such an interesting flow to it, but it's still very faithful to Storm. It's not impossible to follow. It's not like a weird Grant Morrison or Christopher Priest comic, but it just has this strange, ephemeral, poetic quality to it, and it's gorgeous, and it's Storm. I think this is the book of this new line. Dom, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think Ayadela has done a really good job elevating her, especially from that first issue on. We get to see Storm post-Krakoa, what's she doing, what's she up to, and I love the characterization that Ayadole gives, and completely agreed on Wernick. It's like he took his artistry interiors to the next level with this, and on top of that, it's Alex Guimaraes, I think is how you say his name, the colorist.
Yes,
compliments him well. I think a lot more than Brian Valenza did on Immortal X-Men. So it has been a really good treat for me so far, and one of my favorites of the From the Ashes line for sure. And I am interested how people react, because issues 4 and 5 are going to be tying into the Doom event of Ryan Nortz for next year, which might mean that the series hopefully will continue post issue 5, because I know a lot of the people have been asking like which ones are going to get past the 5-issue stint that Brave War was talking about with sales. But very amazing book, very enjoyable book, and one of my favorites of the line.
With that
Storm's
being
got some
said,
history with Doom, so that's not out of nowhere. You know,
It's
like
not,
that.
no.
That's actually very grounded in her character.
they've had lots of dinners together. I'm not joking. They had lots of dinners.
No, it's not why I'm laughing. It's true.
Legit.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, with that being said, what Dom just said, have any of the new From the Ashes titles been canceled?
Just the ones that were supposed to end at there, like Dazzler, for example, ended at issue 4.
Okay.
And that was solicited as a limited series.
Okay.
This was solicited as an ongoing. There is an
Really?
issue 6 solicited, which is X-Manhunt tie-in on the Charles Xavier crossover. So we're probably going to go into a second trade. Phoenix already has a second trade announced. So I think it seems like everything that got announced as an ongoing at least got a leash long enough that they could have 2 trades, and then we'll see what happens from there.
No news on an Iron Man Mighty Marvel Masterworks Reaper XC. I know John's been asking. I wish I liked this book, but I'm not a fan of Ayodele's writing. What else?
I Am Iron Man.
That's the book. Okay.
But
But
that's a fever dream.
that I was gonna say that doesn't take place it's not canon, right? I mean, well, okay, maybe the way I read it was.
It's like Between the Raindrops. It's like maybe this happened at a certain part of Iron Man's career, or maybe it didn't. It's one of those.
Oh my goodness! What an excellent question. Is Wolverine and the X-Men the most recent era of X-Men in Omnibus before Hickman? I think you're right. No, Death of Wolverine.
True.
That's after that. Hold on, Death of Wolverine, right? Is that it? Is that the one before Krakoa?
Yeah.
I want to say Avengers versus X-Men. That was before.
Well,
I think you're right. I think you're right. I think, but you were very close because Death of Wolverine just came out, so that's the one, which is crazy. All right, Storm. So I've only been spoiled by one thing, and it was shared in our conversation. Oddfell shared it, and it's not that big of a spoiler, so I'm kind of excited as to why it happened and how it's happening. Curtis, you'll be reading this book in 10 years' time with the modern era epic collection of Storm.
Postmodern epic collection. Omar.
That's great. Yeah.
Captain America by J. Michael Straczynski, Volume 3. Does this wrap up?
It
Right?
is the
Yes,
end of
it
the run.
does.
Yep.
Okay. 12
We are-
through 16. And this is the Broxton Rising. I will say this: I love the first book. I thought it was excellent. I was like, "Welcome back, JMS." Second book, I'm like, "What's happening?" That I felt was like a fever dream. Very interesting. I do like Jesus Saiz and Carlos Magno. I think they're wonderful artists. Who else has read it besides me, Peter, and I assume Dom's read it too.
I
right?
have indeed.
Peter, I think you weren't a fan from the get-go, right?
No, I don't think JMS really has a voice for Cap, but what's interesting about this one is it has the final 2 issues of that like mega arc that was already happening, and then the last 3 issues are this Broxton Rising story, and it's Cap, Thor, and Spider-Man throughout the whole 3 issues, and it's very much a epilogue to JMS's Thor run, which he abandoned, and then Gillen completed wonderfully, and it also kind of reverses a pretty big plot point from Cates' Thor. What did you think about that, Dom? Without spoiling anything, was it warranted? Was it mean-spirited? Like, what did you think about him doing that?
I think it definitely feels weird because I mean this has sort of been the thing with him for the other 3 books the other 2 books that he's been on, right? With Spider-Man and Thor, just felt like, man, I think he's still kind of upset a bit with those 2 runs ending. And Cap, I think I expected him to go at least 20 issues with this. But we're cutting it at 16, and with the other with Greg Pak and I think it's Evan Narcisse who's taking over.
Yeah.
For Captain America, it definitely felt like this run got shorted off a bit, and you could tell a little bit in the writing. Yeah, that being said, yeah, it felt a little bit weird. I don't know how I completely feel about this Cap run overall. I think I much preferred the Hive Mind on Sentinel with Carnero on art, and then the Sam. But yeah, just definitely felt like a weird ending for sure.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Oh, also a fan of Lansing and Kelly. Yeah, big fan of the
great art in the book, though. And if you like JMS Thor, you would like this.
Avengers Assemble, the Serpent Scenario. Steve Orlando writing this. This is the new ongoing series, correct? It's not a mini-series?
Mini, unfortunately.
Oh, it's mini?
Yeah.
Mini, yeah.
For some reason, I thought this was announced as an ongoing. Okay, so you have Steve Orlando, Corey Smith. Oh, is each issue like showcasing a different artist, I assume? Because there's only 5 issues.
Yeah.
120 pages, $17.99. So we've got Hawkeye, Captain America, Hercules, Wonder Man, She-Hulk, Shang-Chi, and is she still go by Photon? Monica?
I think she's Photon in this.
Yeah, Photon.
Okay.
It's really fun. It's because each issue is one shot. They're really dense. I actually just read it yesterday for the stream, and it's like it took me like 13 or 14 minutes per issue, and not because I was crying about how bad Steve Orlando's writing is, which is sometimes why it takes me a long time. I think he's actually good for Avengers. I know, like a lot of us on the stream, Orlando is a huge X-Men fan, and he like relishes getting to write X-Men, but like harsh truths, I think he's a better Avengers writer. He just gets the kind of, this is a team of unconnected professionals who sometimes have friendships vibe of the book really well. He writes Hercules well. He writes Hawkeye well. He pretty much writes all of their voices really well. And it's fun to have one-shotty stories. It kind of reminds me of the Roger Stern era, where there are a bunch of one-shots and then they kind of get tied together. I'm not saying it's the quality of Roger Stern, but and they've got jackets. So it's also got like a little bit of jacket era throwback. I can't believe they didn't put them wearing jackets on the cover. That's a miss.
I was going to say, where's the jackets? Whoa.
So it's actually like and he writes it, and Night Thrasher is in it, Omar, and he's pretty cool in it. So it's kind of like the exact Avengers book you want alongside of the McKay Avengers book.
One of the greatest new warriors ever. I just saw that
short list.
Lightning and Lightspeed.
Yeah.
This. Okay, Rescue Vampire. All right. Huh. And it's continuing as an unlimited series. That's what Tommy was saying.
No, it was stopped at 5, and we don't know if it's going to get an extension or not, like Marvel.
Arthur Wu, that's right. New Warriors Forever, baby. That's awesome. Okay, Ultraman Avengers. Wow.
Yeah, it's Kyle Higgins continuing with Matt Groom on their Ultraman 4-issue series. And this is the latest part to their saga.
So I know that they did 2 miniseries before this, and this is the third one, right?
You're correct.
But now we're including the Marvel Universe. Because the 616, like, it looks like the first 2 minis Didn't seem like it was set in the 616. It's interesting. Will somebody please tell Doug that Night Thrasher is cool? Thank you. Jess, tell him how you feel about Night Thrasher.
So cool. His skateboard is just boss.
That delivery was amazing. Thank you, Jess. Skateboard is awesome. Alien. This is the new Kennedy Johnson series, penciled by Salvador La Roca and Julius Ota. Collecting Alien from. Oh no, this is all.
This is the complete collection of Philip Kennedy Johnson's entire stint on Alien, ending with the 6-issue relaunch that came out in 2022.
Man, I wish they would keep doing more of these series. I really like them. I like what they did with. I don't know if anybody read What If Burke Had Lived. That was actually one of my favorite reads last year because I'm a huge fan of Aliens. Paul Reiser, he's okay. I thought he was funny in the 80s. He did Mad About You, but he is one of the most hated characters in the Alien franchise. So I was like, why do I want to read about this character everybody loathes? And it's such a good, because he wrote it. Paul Reiser co-wrote it with somebody else. Can't remember who the other
son,
person.
I think, right?
Was it his son?
So,
And I don't know if anybody else read it here, but
I
I
haven't read it yet.
freaking loved it. It was like one of my favorite reads last year.
This is fun because it's near Earth. Like so often, alien movies don't want to deal with aliens in the present day anywhere close to Earth. It's sort of like off limits, unless it's like an AVP. This is alien continuity very close to Earth. So if you that has been something you've always wanted, you will get your wish fulfilled here.
I liked all of this. But I'm a big sucker for Alien and Predator comics. Phil Owens, that is close to a ban, my friend. The best thing that happened to Warriors was Nitro. The fact that you're talking about Civil War, ouch! That hurt for you to type out too.
I'm surprised that this wasn't an omnibus instead of a complete. I know that they've been doing a lot of the bigger, thicker, complete collections while not calling them those types, but I'm kind of surprised they didn't make it hardcover, I guess.
Maybe they can stick in the What If Burke, and maybe they've got other things planned, and maybe we can get a
modern Alien Omnibus post
2021. We still need the Alien versus Predator Omnibus.
Yeah, they haven't touched it yet.
And all of the Predator versus crossovers that Percy's been doing at Marvel.
What if the corporate lackey was actually nice and trying to help? Thanks. Dude, I loved it. Star Wars Battle of Jaku.
This is the post.
Tell me about this.
Post return of the Jedi era, where they have sort of split off, doing the regular Star Wars, Darth Vader, and other Star Wars books that sort of tie in concurrently. This is Alex Segura being joined by multiple different artists, sort of taking away their takes on what happened after the Battle of Endor.
Like minutes after it starts real soon after. Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's pretty much a weekly event. You see that there's 3 miniseries in here. They're not concurrent. They all were sequential, and they ran pretty much. They've been running like every week since like September, right?
Yeah, September. Yeah, they've been doing a lot of these.
So this is how they're doing Star Wars post
Soul.
Oh my goodness. So the timeline is after episode 6, before
minutes after episode 6.
Okay, but are they gonna? Is that the timeline we're looking at now? Or I heard somebody say that some of it is taking place post episode 6, and then some of them set during episodes 7, 8, and 9, and then some in the past with episodes 1, 2, and 3.
Well, that's the new Star Wars line, but this particular thing is kind of like a Fall of the House of X finale, but it's kind of also like the illicit thrill of like, oh my gosh, we're getting like immediate post 6, not with a big spoiler, but just like a little comment of something in the first issue. We all have seen episode 6. We know how Darth Vader ends up at the end of that, but Luke has his moment with Vader in the state that he is in the end of that. Leia does not. Leia gets her moment in the first issue. So it's like stuff we've always wanted. And I think that's the big attraction here.
Oh man. Okay, I'm in. So this is the mini series: Battle of Jaku, Less Than, Republic Under Siege, and Insurgency Rising. Alex Segura, who, by the way, if you've not read the what was it that he's writing? The Dick Tracy? Is it Dick Tracy that he's writing? The
Green Hornet.
Green Hornet.
He's writing Green Hornet at Dynamite, and he's also doing a Question miniseries over at DC at the moment.
That Green Hornet book is solid. So this is the cover. Phil Noto, right? Yeah.
Yep.
SpiderGwen, the Ghost Spider, Volume 2. This is a continuation of Stephanie Phillips' series.
Oh.
Collecting issues 6 through 10 with Mark Brooks on the cover, but it's Paolo Villanelli and Von Randau are the artist.
I think Villanelle is killing it on this. Dom, I like it's like moody, but it's not too dark. It's the action's easy to follow. I find myself really looking forward to this book every month.
Yeah, it's odd for me because I've never been a really big Spider-Gwen fan, I suppose you could call it, but I'm always hooked at. See, because the interesting thing for me with this series was, are we going to place her? If we're going to place her in 616, how are we going to do everything? But the biggest thing for me coming back has been the interiors, and I don't think, this is Villanelli's best book so far. So happy for him.
Yeah, I might be missing a little bit of the Gwen voice. Like she doesn't feel as punk as she usually does. She's like not cool rocker, but I do think it's a good story and it's using her well. And I feel like so often her books, I always like her, but sometimes I'm like, why is this even happening? Like who needs this story? This one feels fun. Like I actually look forward to it. So I hope people don't sleep on it. I think it's a good Spider-Gwen book.
Jess, will you be getting this Spider-Gwen?
Not in trade paperback, but when it's collected, I love Stephanie Phillips writing, and that cover looks boss. I said boss again. It looks really cool. When it gets collected, because I like this character. I don't like that she's been moved to Earth 616, but I like Stephanie Phillips writing a lot, and it sounds like the art's amazing. So yeah, when it's collected, I will.
She's going to college here, right? Is that part of the reason why she's moved to 616?
They don't have college where she comes from.
Our 616 education is far superior to.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Jess, I started reading Grimm over the holidays. Speaking of Stephanie Phillips,
I want to start that tonight.
So good.
Oh, Jess, it's boss.
It's so good.
I've
My
heard
first
great things about it. I've heard
Lady
great things about it.
It's
oh
my
my
God.
Armentaro on the interiors for Grimm was
It's
awesome.
Freaking amazing artwork. Deadpool. This is the Cody Sigler series, The Death of Wade Wilson. Is he wearing an Avengers leather jacket, or is that what? Oh, that's okay.
That's not Wade.
Collecting Deadpool 6 through 10. That I assume that's Ellie, right?
That's Ellie.
Okay.
Spoilers.
So what? I read the first volume and I dug it. You know, it's hard to judge the Deadpool series, like with so many different creators that have been on Deadpool over the years, and it's hard not to compare it to like my favorite run. Like does it need to have all the heart and all the humor that my favorite run did? What do you all? I assume you're current with it, Dom, and so is Peter. You both read Cody Sigler's Deadpool. I've only read the first trade.
I did not. I actually got in because I was interested to see what Ellie Pool would be like instead of Wade. I skipped and opted out of the first 5 issues because I really liked the Alyssa Wong series, and that got cut short by Marvel, and I kind of felt like, man, I don't know if Marvel, even if I spend my money on it, will ever be able to uphold a Deadpool ongoing. I mean, they really haven't since Duggan, but this is quite odd fun. I was not expecting to like Ellie Pool, I guess, as much as I did, but it's kind of like going back into the thing where, like, how do you judge it, like, by past Deadpool runs? Like, what do you expect? Because he's just had so many different incarnations and characterizations, but maybe because of the fact that it wasn't Wade, that I was like sort of like less critical about it than other Deadpool runs, but I did enjoy my time reading the issues in this volume. So
okay. Peter, thoughts?
Yeah, I feel similarly. I hated the first 2 issues. I just didn't feel like I think with Deadpool, the problem, and to go off what Dom's saying, that we don't get lasting runs, is like it just feels very temporary. Like it doesn't feel like there's a reason that you have to read the next issue. And I know with somebody as popular as Deadpool, you can get away from very one-shotty, funny stories. But after issues 3, 4, and 5, at the end of that first volume that you read, Omar, I was like, you know what? I really do want to read the next issue. I think that Ziegler has really found a compelling plot here that pulls in a lot of like recent Deadpool supporting characters. And I think having some characters around him like Taskmaster, like the Big Red Dog, like Ellie, really kind of gives you a reason to keep moving forward. And also, Ziegler is referencing past runs, including Alyssa Wong's run. So it feels a lot more connected than Deadpool has felt since Duggan. I'm not saying it's as good as Duggan, but like I caught all the way up to issue 9. I woke up at 5 a.m. so I could read them before the stream. So it must not suck.
That's a blurb. It must not
That's
suck.
a blurb.
Yes, he has a big symbiote dog, Jess. Is that how
Okay.
you get
Now I'll buy it.
Okay, that's how the Dom and Peter have pitched it for like 10 minutes, and all you had to say was symbiote dog, and you're like, okay, I'm in.
That's a buy.
Spirits of Vengeance by Sabir Pirsada. And this is collecting the 2024 Spirits of Vengeance, where the Ghost Riders unite for a new era of vengeance. So it looks like, I assume, Johnny and Danny. Right? Has anybody read this miniseries?
I will say, Omar, before I guess they stuck on the name, this the first time they put this into the PRH catalog. It used to be called Spirits of Vengeance, Spirits of Violence, and they switched to Spirits of Violence before they went back to the original miniseries name of Spirits of Vengeance. So
Okay.
I think they've had a weird naming convention with this one.
I wonder why. Wait, so I assume that is Johnny Blaze, Danny Ketch, and then Michael. What's his name? Badalino, the guy that was Vengeance in the 90s. I assume. I haven't read this series.
Yeah, it's Blaze, Reyes, Robbie Reyes,
the Hood,
Kushala. Yeah.
None of those people are Michael Bobadillo or Bobadillo. Bobadillo. Whatever his name was, I can't remember. The guy that was Vengeance, huh? Yeah, because I read the one with the Hood just recently. Was that wasn't written by Sabir Persada though, was it?
No, that was Percy, I want to say.
I thought it was like that Percy.
Yeah, for Ghost Rider, yeah, that was Benjamin
Badalino. Thank you so much.
Badalino
Yes.
Bubadalo.
Close. Ultimate X-Men by Peach Momoko, Volume 2, Children of the Atom, collecting Ultimate X-Men 7 through 12.
Oh my gosh.
I absolutely love the first book. I love it. Is it X-Men? No. Is it manga? Not really. But I love it, man. It's great. And that's what I expect out of an Ultimate line. It's like, I've read every incarnation of X-Men there is. Give me something new.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something completely new. And like, I don't know. I find it adorable. And I'm such a nerd. I'm sitting there like trying to figure out who these characters are when I'm sure I could just go on Google and be like, who is this character? 616. Oh, it's Cyclops, of course, because she has one eye. Duh. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm having a blast with this. I love it. This, I can't remember if we talked about this. Peter, did we talk about the first one? I know you're not a big Ultimate fan.
No, I love Ultimate. Just don't like Peach Momoko. This is no hate, peace and love. But this is my least favorite comic of 2024.
This volume 2 that hasn't even come out yet?
No, I dropped it at like issue 5 or 6 because it was so bad. For me, out of me.
Is it the writing or the art?
I can't follow Peach Momoko's paneling. I've like opened it. I've like studied one panel and tried to figure out what's happening, and then I go to the next panel. And I'm like, what did I miss? And it just doesn't. I don't think it makes any sense. But that's me. Many people love her and this book. So I'm not trying to tell you it's bad. I'm trying to tell you I personally do not understand.
No, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of books that people find great that I don't like. I get it. Yeah. And I can't figure out why, but it's not my job to figure out why somebody likes it and I don't. right? It's just it's
I
like
But I
can-
like hearing
I can also
about why people like it, because when I like to be able to come on the stream and characterize like you'll like this because, and when I can't say that, it's frustrating, and I don't know how to say that for this book, so I'm like interested that you like it and why you
well,
like it.
so I'm a big manga guy too, right? So the reason I like it so much is because we hear the complaints all the time that manga's outselling American comics, and people just love spreading that. And so what's the solution is something like this, because deep in this book is a Junji Ito horror story or a Kazu Ume story. Like it's like got those horror manga tropes, or it kind of reminds me a little bit of Mushishi, like book manga that I really enjoy that are so obscure, and now I'm seeing it in mainstream comics, and I'm like, man, this is really cool. They got like like they have like a little demon glossary in the back for American kids or kids in Canada that don't know exactly what these little creatures are, and they get to learn like this whole culture and folklore. I think that's really cool and unique, and maybe that's why it stood out to me. I can completely understand why somebody that loves X-Men, especially like Jim Lean over muscular, super booby everywhere type of X-Men, would come into this going, this is a bunch of freaking Japanese kids escaping some weird demon. I don't like it. I get it. So it's not for everybody.
And I think
Omar,
that
I think-
characterized it so well because I don't have that vocabulary of like horror manga tropes, and I just get so confused. Like I can't follow the action. I don't know why there's a demon.
Well, that's why there's a yokai glossary in the back.
Well, I love yokai though. I ran a whole D&D campaign with yokai bad guys. But I don't know them from manga. I know them from just Japanese mythology. So maybe I need to go back with new eyes. I'm always willing to give.
Well, I'm
stuff
not
more
telling you to
chances.
go back. I'm just saying that's why I enjoyed it. Dom, you're not a manga guy, and you like X-Men. What do you?
Oh no, this is it was
Wait,
Joe,
you like Pokemon though, so maybe you do like.
I do
some.
love Pokemon. It's preferenced
Right.
by the Cyndaquil in the background. No, I had the same sort of feeling as Peter in the first 6 issues that I was reading this, and got to the point where I was like, I'll just collect it for covers, wait along. And it was Joe, who I do the indie streams with, who actually told me, Dom, I think you should go reread the book. It rereads. I think you like enjoy it a little bit better in trade instead of like following it sequentially month by month. And now, like looking back on it, like I always flip flop like between this, Ultimate Spidey, and Ultimates for me as like the vying candidates for which of the line I like the most. And what I do love about this book is just it's so uniquely different from the regular 616 house style that we are getting. And like if you are looking for the flavor of you're being in a new universe, you're doing something else that whatever the maker's doing, have it inspired its own image. I really do think that when you read all of these issues like back to back instead of the following month, I do think it reads a lot better. It lends a lot better in storytelling, and I found myself enjoying a lot of the horror manga tropes that I wasn't expecting. And I guess to see Momoko going from her demon days outlook to this followed by month, I found myself enjoying it a lot more on a second read through than I did the first. Which I did. This was one of the ones I was just okay on to start, but yeah, after I re-enveloped myself in the teenager Japanese characters that Momoko's writing, I found myself enjoying it almost as much as my other 2 favorite books of the line. So
I think that this book will read better as a trade paperback rather than as single issues in general, just because of the pacing of each of these issues. And I think that's part of it, and that's just a typical manga thing as well. The flow of it and the pacing is very steeped in the traditional way that manga is written. The thing I really enjoyed this book. I'm loving the story. I'm up to issue 6, and then but I do find it confusing a little bit because, and this is a complaint I have with a lot of manga, is that the faces are all the same. And there are a lot of flashbacks in the especially the earlier issues, and it wasn't clear to me when I was reading a flashback and when I wasn't reading a flashback, because they didn't differentiate between hairstyles or facial features enough to make it clear. Is
that a complaint about just this book or manga in particular? Because I think that's a manga thing.
I absolutely think that's a manga thing. I think though that there are some artists who deal with that a little bit better. Like you take like Ranma, Ranma and Akane have the exact same faces, but their hair is so drastically different that you can tell which one is which.
I'm so proud of you,
with
Curtis, for bringing Rumiko Takahashi into this chat. I love you, man.
Oh,
Sorry,
she's
go
my
ahead.
favorite. But in this one, I found that even the hairstyle was too similar between characters in order to differentiate. So, uh, but I mean, once you figure that out, and it does take some work, it's still a great story. I really enjoyed the story.
I'm
Okay.
just happy to know I'm not the only person who primarily identifies characters via hair. Like, I thought that was just me being a weirdo, but I absolutely, when I'm a little face blind, even in real life, so I'm like, well, this one has spiky hair, so that's the one with the electric powers. Like, that is absolutely how I read
And
comics.
and that's yeah, exactly. Well, and then a lot of artists are like that. John Byrne draws the same faces all the time. John Romita has the same faces on all his characters, and so the identifying things are hair or like mustaches or whatever.
And more so in manga too, because you're lacking color, so you have
Yeah.
to have like these different hairstyles. I had no idea we were going to talk about
Wait,
Ultimate X-Men for so long. I
Omar,
said-
real quick, because I know that you mentioned like your regular Jim Lee or whatever X-Men. If you guys are looking for that, Chris Condon and Alessandra Capuccio are looking to probably bring that with Ultimate Wolverine that drops on the 15th this month. So if you're looking for something very similar to your 616
Capuccio's on that
book or
book.
next experience, pick up Chris Condon and Alessandra Capuccio's Ultimate Wolverine, which drops on the 15th. Just heads up.
All right. Next up, Wolverine by Saladin Ahmed, Volume 1. Martin Kokolo's the artist, and Saladin Ahmed is the writer. Collecting Wolverine 1 through 5. This is another one from the Ashes. This is an ongoing series, I assume, based on the character. Correct. Okay. Huh. Got it. From the Ashes of the Krakoan era, the legend begins anew. Is that a Kokolo cover?
That's
Man,
Kokolo. Yep.
solid. Oh, and is that his new costume? I have not read a single thing of this. Waiting on the trade. He's got a new costume. I'll take that as a yes.
I really love this book. It's not everybody who's really enjoying it. I don't know what they want from Wolverine. I think that Ahmed really has his voice perfectly. Like the narration and the kinds of things that Wolverine is musing as he's out in the wilderness dealing with these people. I just think it's exactly the Logan voice that I want. It's why I like Saladin Ahmed. It's why I liked him on Black Bolt. The story feels a little small so far. I'll give you that. Story feels small. But I think if you have just been craving a Wolverine that feels like the Logan that you know in your heart is the right Logan, I think that exists in this book. And hopefully the excitement level is going to ramp up.
So, okay, what you just said, that is exactly how I felt about his Daredevil. That first volume of Daredevil, I was like, why are we already got the setup from, I don't want to spoil what the new setup or the new status quo is for Matt Murdock, but I was like, why are we redoing this? We already got the setup from Chip Zdarsky's final issue. You could recap it in one page. And it was like 4 issues of that with a little bit of mystery and a slow burn. But by the 5th issue, I was like, okay, I'm actually digging his Murdoch's dialogue. So I think he can capture the character's voice. It's more so about the plot, maybe. I felt the same way about his Miles Morales when he did Miles Spider-Man. A little bit of a slow burn. Well, yeah, actually, I didn't really particularly like the last part of that. Yeah, I want to highlight this comment from Ward Brer. The Ultimate Universe is a meaningless universe. It's a let's throw copyrighted by Bill Tucci, against the wall and see what sticks so we can monetize the character. To hell with actually having to create a valid character. I think I mean, both Marvel and DC have taken this formula time and time again with the Ultimate Universe, the All-Star Universe, and now the Absolute Universe. And those characters and those comics do sell because it's almost like a fresh start. Like Ultimate Spider-Man 1 and Absolute Batman 1 were the top selling comic books of last year. Not Action Comics 1050 or anything that's been going on for years. It's a brand new start for characters that you look familiar, right? So I mean, there is something to that. At the end of the day, after 4 or 5 years, same thing with the original Ultimate Universe, people will probably get bored and Sales will go back to the 616. Keeping it fresh. Jess, have you read any of the new Ultimate lines?
No, I'm gonna wait for them to get collected in a big chunky something or other, whatever it is. Modern
Trade
Marvel trade, a big, like they all get collected together. So
you're
no,
not gonna get any of the you don't have the Ultimate Spider-Man trade?
I don't.
Jess, how are you avoiding spoilers, dude?
I don't. I know as soon as I get those trades for all this, then they're gonna announce some complete collection of it and stuff.
Yes.
And I'd rather read it as a complete collection. So I spend most of my day in bed sleeping, so that's how I avoid spoilers.
Same.
Okay. Venom War Zombieits Venomous.
Zombieites.
So this is the Zombieits 1 through 3, Venomous 1 through 3, Black Widow Venomous, and Venom War Daredevil.
This is where Black Widow turns into a symbiote.
She's been one for a while at this point.
Okay.
It's in that Al Ewing run.
That's right. That's right. Okay. That makes that makes sense.
Omni Dog Nosferatu.
Yeah. So I sleep all day and then I stay indoors all night. So no.
$24.99, 200 pages. Miles Morales, we were just talking about this guy. Miles Morales, Spider-Man, Cody Sigler, Volume 6. Wow. Golly, time is just flying by. Miles Morales, Spider-Man 27 through 29, annual number 1, and then Miles Morales, Spider-Man 20, some material from 25. And
I kinda am now in love with this book. I know I was like a little rough on it around volume 2 or 3. I think volume 5, which was like post Gang War, post Blood Hunt, just really cooked. Like Ziegler got through all the events, he made them actually have an impact on Miles' life, and it just was delicious. It felt like the first time that Miles has like sounded right to me. I don't know. I really liked it. I like the art. I like the colors. I like the voice. Now he's going to Wakanda, which kind of feels like, okay, let's use Black Panther in something since he doesn't have an ongoing comic right now. But it is very rooted in what is going on with Miles. It's not just a random team up. That's why there's some material from 25 in here. This arc is still ongoing, but volume 5 has an unequivocal Crisis recommendation. I really loved it.
I dug that first collection. I thought he had Miles' voice down. He wrote him a little different than Saladin Ahmed, but he brought, I think, his Miles brought some realism to being a teenager. And all of this, for lack of a better term, responsibility on your shoulders, and how a teenager would react to that, like anxiety, and like brought to tears because you're like, oh my god, I gotta do this. Hey, Michael Emmett, how are you, dude? Sorry, bed sores. Yeah, spoilers today.
And I love the way he wrote to that point, Omar. I love how he writes Miles and Starling. It's like a very modern two teens who are like in a situationship kind of thing to me, based on the teens that I know in my life, where like they are always so careful not to overstep one another, but then when one of them worries too much about the other one, they're like, yo, I'm a superhero, like you don't need to like dote on me. I don't know, Dom, you're much closer to the age of this character than any of us will ever be again. What do you think about
no I think yeah, I said it the last time, like I do need to catch up on this specific book because I haven't picked it up since Gang War, but I think he really captures the voice. He captured the voice, I think, a lot better than Ahmed did. And it just kind of echoes a lot of what you get from Across the Spider-Verse or the Spider-Verse movies. It feels light, it feels warm-hearted, and I need to catch up on it because to hear you say like the run's been getting a lot better. I think I am in a sort of the deal with Omar that like I really, really like the first volume. I need to get back on it, but 100% agreed with what you guys were saying.
100%. No one's ever agreed with me that much. All right, Curtis, you've been waiting all day. Been patiently waiting.
They really should put these at the beginning.
No, you gotta listen to us talk. All right, Curtis, take us away.
Okay.
What is this modern
new
era?
New Avengers Modern Era Epic Collection, the Initiative. This is Volume 3, continuing the Brian Michael Bendis run of Epic Collections. Let's see. Collecting Civil War, the Initiative, New Avengers 26 through 37, Annual number 2, and New Avengers Illuminati 1 through 5. I believe this is the exact same mapping as the Brian Michael Bendis New Avengers Complete Collection Volume 3.
You'd be correct.
Wow,
So this is the
Julian-
post Civil War stuff. Yeah, there you go. Julian knows what's going on here.
If you have the omnibus, some of this has already been collected in the first omnibus, and omnibus volume 2 should have New Avengers Illuminati 1 through 5, as well as annual number 2.
I mean, they're just really good comic books. Even as a non-Bendis fan, like this is just it's just so fun.
It's very fun.
Yes.
Fun and
really good are different to me, though, but that's okay.
Curtis, I have a question for you regarding these. Do you think that they'll throw in, because I know that Siege was in one of the it was in the J. Michael Straczynski omnibus, but do you think that Siege and or Secret Invasion will pop up in any of the modern era epics, or no?
I don't think Siege will. If anywhere, it should have been in Thor, and it should have been in Dark Avengers, but it wasn't in either of those. So I don't think that we're going to see it unless they come up with an event epic for Siege. What was the other one you said?
Secret
Invasion. Secret Invasion should have shown up in New Avengers as well, but it did not.
Well, it'll be in the next one, right? Because this is 26 through 37, right? So it's post Civil War.
Yeah, it's post. Yeah.
So what would it? I think 35. Peter, you map. Secret Invasion of New Avengers. When does that take place?
So Secret Invasion pretty much starts
like
right after this.
That's what I
And then
thought.
all the new, and it's kind of, but it's weird because Secret Invasion kind of becomes the main Avengers title, and then Bendis just tells tales of like the wider Skrull happenings in New Avengers that really doesn't feature any New Avengers for several issues. So it is going to be awkward if the next epic doesn't include Secret Invasion, because the book doesn't read so great without it.
Right.
But
Because
we'll see how it goes. Yeah.
issue 38, I believe, is the prologue to all of the everything. And then it just I don't know. Just a question.
Yeah,
I mean,
all of 38 to 47 all kind of connect to Secret Invasion in some way, and that would be the next epic. So we'll see.
I will say, House of M, I completely understand why that's not in there, because to me that was always more of an X-Men book. Civil War is just a nightmare to map with this stuff. Like, I know people want a Civil War omnibus, and I feel like Civil War Omni is just going to be Civil War 1 through 7, New Avengers,
Civil
Wolverine, Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
I don't think you can put in issues because, like, I mean, let's just face it. Mark Miller wasn't talking to Brian Michael Bendis about the story, and the editors weren't really trying to figure out where these things go. They were just writing books to sell. And I think people have a misunderstanding what a crossover event and what an event is. And I certainly don't want anything like Flashpoint mapped that way, where they have all these issues in between the main event, because they really don't even fit into, like, yeah, I don't know. Curtis, were you about to say something about Civil War?
I was going to say that the Civil War, the New Avengers Epic Collection doesn't include the Civil War mini, but it reads just fine. It actually reads really well without it. You still know everything that's going on, and it's crafted in such a way that it's completely enjoyable, even if you've never read the original story or the story that goes along with it. I just read the Guardians of the Galaxy Epic Collection, War of Kings, and that one doesn't read well without the the two War of Kings and Realm of Kings. They kind of need, especially Realm of Kings, kind of needs to be read. It's a conclusion to a lot of stuff.
According to Mark Miller, he had to read everything that everyone wrote for Civil War, and it was one of the things that made him quit writing for Marvel.
Civil War.
That's what he
almost-
also said on his podcast with Brian Michael Bendis that came out like 1.5 years ago. So they both said it. Don't take it from me.
Okay,
New
so
Avengers Modern Era. Oh, sorry.
Uh,
Yeah,
Cur-
New Avengers
strike
Modern
one,
Era
Curtis.
Epic Collection Volume 2, New Worlds. Again, this is the same content as the new X-Men. Did I say New Avengers earlier or New
Yeah.
You
X-Men?
said New Avengers twice, my
You're on
friend.
strike
New
two. Keep going.
X-Men Modern Era Epic Collection New Worlds. Same content as New X-Men Ultimate Collection, I think it was called, Volume 2, which
Yep.
is New X-Men 127 to 144. Just a straight run there by Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely. This was a groundbreaking era. You also get stuff in there from a few other artists because Frank Quitely is not the fastest penciler in the world.
No, there's Phil Jimenez, Ethan Van Sciver. I think those are your main ones that
Igor Cordy.
were working here.
Igor Court.
Oh, that's right. Igor was
Ooh,
working on
and
this.
John Paul Leon on one of those.
Yeah, but I think it mainly is those three, right?
Three, yeah.
Phil Jimenez almost kind of taking over as the secondary artist because I think Ethan had left by or leaves.
Ethan left at 138.
Yeah,
Phil got on 139.
and then Igor doing a lot.
One of Peter's top 10 X-Men issues is in this.
That's right,
epic.
139. Dom tried to convince me to pick 140, and I almost did, but I went with 139.
Which is 139. Which one is that one?
The Psychic Affair issue.
It's our
Oh,
cover
yeah,
for our.
yeah. Right.
Yeah.
That's the silent one, right?
It's not not the
No,
fully
it's
silent
the-
one, not that one that you're thinking of.
It's the one
Oh,
with
okay.
Emma dressing up as
Santa Claus.
Santa Claus so that she can seduce Scott.
If that's your thing,
Right.
God.
I will say I love New X-Men. This is one of the when I got this Omni, this is the book that got me into X-Men. I love this book.
Yeah. There's a lot of good stuff in here. I mean, a lot of people hated it because of how much they changed and how different it is, but also,
I didn't know from anything, so I just read it and thought, oh, this is great. I love it. And then I loved Astonishing even more.
Annihilation, Modern Era Epic Collection, Annihilation Day. Curtis, let's talk about this.
this is our very very first epic event.
Yeah.
And we haven't had anything like this before. It is an epic collection solely based around the event Annihilation, collecting Drax the Destroyer 1 through 4, Annihilation Prologue 1, Annihilation Nova 1 through 4, Annihilation Silver Surfer 1 through 4, and Annihilation Super Skrull 1 through 4. Doesn't even have the Annihilation limited series in here. That'll be in volume 2. And this is the same as the Annihilation Complete Collection Volume 1. So a lot of these modern ones, they're just taking the previously out-of-print collection and putting the branding on it. So this is great because I haven't read this, but I really like the Guardians of the Galaxy that spins out of this, so I'm super excited to read this story.
Well, Nova spins out of this. Guardians of the Galaxy spun out of Annihilation Conquest.
Oh yeah, Conquest, that's
So
right.
you still
Now
have to
will
go through that.
Conquest be in these Annihilation epics?
It could. They
make a
just could
volume
call it
3?
Annihilation and cover that whole space saga.
Oh yeah, I think so.
They totally
You
should.
know, you can just have
That'd be great.
they could have different titles, right? This is Annihilation Day. The next one can be Annihilation, and take you all the way to the Thanos Imperative. Yeah, these were, man, this was so much fun. I remember when they announced this, I was rolling my eyes because it's the same editor that came over from DC Comics. And they took the formula of Infinite Crisis of starting with the Countdown one shot and then having all the little mini series like Day of Judgment and things like that lead into Infinite Crisis. And I was like, oh my gosh, come on. This formula is not going to work. Boy, I'm so glad I've been wrong so many times. This was amazing. I love this era. Made me a huge cosmic fan. And it is the beginning of the modern cosmic saga. And if not for this, we wouldn't have the James Gunn adaptation of Guardians of the Galaxy because he loved this era so much.
Yeah, Guardians 2 got me into Annihilation back a couple of years ago, and I haven't looked back since.
That's great.
All right,
Okay,
Curtis.
this one
what's
is this is Ultimates Epic Collection Superhuman. It's volume 1 of the Ultimates Ultimate Epic Collection.
Mhm.
The first 13 issues, which is the entire first Ultimate series. The next one after this is Ultimates 2. It doesn't go to Ultimates issue 14. This is 376 pages, and we get a nice gray bar down the side. Now, I personally I cringe a little bit at this cover because they already took a cover that has a black bar across the top, decided to put a
Oh,
black stripe down the side. It's like, why can't you the back cover that they used? You can see it in the small little inset box there. Would have been the perfect front cover for this one. I don't know,
is this
but oh well.
the exact same mapping as the Ultimate Collection?
Yep, yeah, it's just the entire first Ultimate series all in one.
And it does not have Ultimate. So that Ultimate Collection did not have Ultimate annual number 1 then.
No, but I think that came out with Ultimates 2. I don't think that was in the era of Ultimates 1.
Okay.
So I think if anywhere, it would be in the next volume. Crisis,
Gotcha.
you'll have to check your website for that.
Yeah, Crisis. Get on that right now.
Sorry, we're trying to figure out where Ultimates 2 cuts in.
Where
The
Ultimate's
annual. Where
number 1.
Ultimates
Oh, the
annual
annual.
number 1.
Give me a moment.
While you're checking on that, we're looking at heck yeah, Thunderbolts, baby. Epic Collection Volume 3.
This is
Curtis.
volume 3. We're just moving right along with this one, which is great. The first 2 volumes are so good, and this one is. I think this wraps up the Kurt Busiek run.
It's the beginning
Or
of the
does he
Fabian
go all the way?
DCS.
Yeah, that's right. And so we have Thunderbolts 26 to 41, Thunderbolts Annual 2000, and Avengers Annual 2000, which is a crossover. This is the Clint Barton Hawkeye led era of Thunderbolts. Still with Mark Bagley. I think he steps off the title around this time too.
Bagley stays with Fabian for a while, but you're right. He ends up leaving the book, and then Tom Grumet takes over the book for a while. I love the Thunderbolts, but this has been released in omnibus format, and it is now coming out in epic format, and it looks like it's going to have the same mapping. Oh, where's John? Is John still in the chat? But here we go. What did Joe Casey write in this? Joe Casey, probably one of the
annual.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, that annual is technically part of Ultimates Volume 2. Oh, I'm back a topic, and generally gets collected with it.
Patrick Searcher, thank you so much. That's who ends up taking over the book. Would you advise getting the Annihilation Epic? I'm curious about the Omni, but generally not a fan of cosmic stories to try it out. I mean, it's a cheaper route. Yeah.
The only thing with the Epic is it's kind of prologue-y, and I remember when I first read that back in, I guess, like 2011, I found some of the prologue bits a little bit dull because I didn't know why it mattered or who the characters were. That was still really, this was before the Guardians movie came out. We were all so young then. I recently reread it and I was like, oh, this is cool. So I think now if you have an awareness of like who those characters are and why it's going to matter, it's a lot more satisfying. But again, it's not proper Guardians until, as Omar mentioned, Annihilation Conquest. So it's I would say it's very Nova centric. But it has a lot of the individual Guardians characters. It has Star-Lord and Drax in a major way. So I don't know. I guess I'm just saying don't judge it entirely by volume 1 because we're not even really to the heart of it. But I do think it's very fun to read.
The Joe Casey wrote issue 26, which is a fill-in. Thank you, James Moore, for that. Same Jack Ferry. The same.
Yikes.
All right, here we go with Iron Man. Take it away, Curtis. This is new.
Yeah, this is new. 10 Rings to Rule the World, Volume 7. We've got up to issue 100 of Iron Man, it says here, which started way back in Tales of Suspense. When did it appear? Number 35 or something? Iron Man 92 to 114 plus annual number 4 and Marvel Premiere 44. This is written by a whole bunch of great writers, including Bill Mantlo, Jerry Conway, Herb Trimpe, Roger Stern, but mostly Bill Mantlo. This is the Bill Mantlo's run. with George Tuska.
39. Thank you, John. It's so crazy that Iron Man is the Epic Collection that kicked off the Epic Collections 12 years ago now with 2025. And we're still... How many epics are we away from the classic run to be wrapped up, Curtis?
1, 2, 3, 4 volumes to go until we get to a complete pre-Heroes Reborn, which is equivalent to like Hulk or Fantastic Four. Like they're all around that. This one gets us up to 1978, which is where we are pretty much with like Spider-Man's just a couple years ahead of that, and Hulk is just a couple years ahead of that. So it's keeping up the same pace as some of the rest of the long-running classic titles here.
Are you a fan of the Crossing, Warren? I don't know if that's real or not.
I'm not sure Warren's real. I don't.
Warren likes new X-Men, I think.
What?
And I think Warren and Peter are the same person.
That I believe.
Warren is a complex person with complex tastes. Okay.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Confirmed. Burner
You're not
account
wrong.
confirmed.
All right. Curtis, what's this?
There's a reprint of Fantastic Four Epic Collection Volume 18, The More Things Change. A very odd era for the Fantastic Four. Issues 308 to 320, Annual number 21, and Incredible Hulk 350, and Marvel Graphic Novel 29, which is... How come I can't remember? Is that Emperor Doom?
Is it who? Mark Rumois, Peter, David Michelinie is.
Oh, Jim Starlin, and no, it's the Hulk.
Oh, the Hulk and the Thing.
Big
It's Bryson.
changes.
Yeah,
Hulk and Thing, big change. Yeah. Yeah, this is a bizarre. This has one of the weirdest Fantastic Four stories in here. Secret Wars 3, and it just like.
That's in the omnibus of Secret Wars 2. They actually collected it to be complete.
Really? Did they?
Yes.
It's so weird. And Steve Englehart loves to deep dive into continuity, and he takes a bunch of weird pockets of the Marvel universe up to this point and tries to mush them all together, and it's just so strange.
Correction. I hate New X-Men. Sorry about that one. Apologies for that. I thought you liked something for a second. Nonsense. 472 pages. Fantastic Four by Morrison and Lee. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the new printing, collecting 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 through 4, and a Morrison pen bonus story from Marvel Knights Double Shot number 2. And
this was a Marvel Knights title.
Cover is so awesome by Jay Lee
and June,
baby.
Jose Villarrubia did the colors in this series. I used to have the hardcover, the standard size hardcover. I don't know where the heck. I think I give away so many books. Sometimes I forget. Oh, that wasn't supposed to be given away. Whoops. So I'm glad they're reprinting it. Yeah, this was fun. I like.
Yeah, same here. I gave it away accidentally, and now I want it back. This is great.
you did the same thing. I did the same.
Yeah, I can't find it.
I'm like,
a
lot.
Give that away.
It was the one that I gave away was Marvel was kind enough to send me 2 copies of the Daredevil gallery edition. Love and More, I think. And I was like, oh, well, I got to give one away. So I gave one away, and then I forgot I had already given it away when I promised it to somebody else during a live stream. And I was like, dang it, I'll just get it sometime. And then it went out of print. Just my luck.
This title is that each issue focuses on a different member of the FF. So it's only it's a 4-issue series. Each member gets their own issue. And
you're speaking my language, Adam and John.
Adam and John, what are they saying? This is begging for a gallery
edition. Yeah.
I think they're trying to get things out there like a little bit more affordable, and then they'll get to the collectors, right? Because they have that movie coming out. This is
hey, Mangaverse Spidey. I didn't
with that cover by Scotty Young. So
yeah, this is early 2000s Scotty Young art featuring Manga Black Cat, Manga Spidey.
So it's the Marvel
mostly Carrie Andrews though. The inside.
Go ahead.
A lot of it is Carrie Andrews, right? He's the one who kind of created this character.
Yes, him and CB Sobolski, although it's credited as not CB.
No, I think
Marvel-
actually, I think I'll challenge you on that, Curtis, because I think Scotty did the interiors for the 5-issue series, and Kari Andrews did the art for
The
the
follow-up?
one
Oh,
shot.
okay, it's the other way around.
Yeah.
Okay. This was right
it's-
around the time of that tsunami line, although I don't think this was a tsunami title.
Mhm.
This was before Tsunami. It was part of that Mangaverse line that had also like, oh my gosh, what was it? Phoenix, I think.
Mhm.
Do you remember her outfit? It was like
Yeah.
super sexy Phoenix, but manga verse. And there was other titles too. But collecting Marvel Mangaverse Spider-Man and Legend of the Spider Clan 1 through 5, and then featuring Spider Clan number 1. 192 pages, $24.99, and I'm just double checking. It's smaller than the trade paperback, so it's the trim size of a digest of their digest books, right? 6x9.
Mhm.
That's a digest
Right.
trim size.
That's
Yes.
digest.
Okay.
Okay, I just looked it up. I have to say that Carrie Andrews did create this Spider-Man in Marvel Mangaverse Spider-Man.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Are you saying that you're saying that you were right?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm saying there.
Okay, that's
I just,
wanted
people
to
are
establish
already
the
keeping
claim.
track. People are already keeping track of how many strikes I have in 2025. So I just have to make sure I keep that level
on him,
down.
Curtis. Get on him, Curtis.
Don't challenge me again, young pup.
Oh man, I want him to go off on America. You freaking Americans are always how many mistakes I make.
I hope someone's keeping a spreadsheet. I would like to know at the end of 2025 how many mistakes I've made total.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
I want them to do that.
Jeff Loeb, Tim Sell, Spider-Man Blue coming out in a trade paperback. This is the trim size of a trade paperback. $19.99, 168 pages. The trade paperback has been out of print for years. The gallery edition is still in print, I believe, as of this video, but they're coming out with a trade.
It's still one of my favorite stories. I really like
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Spider-Man Blue.
Giant Size X-Men tribute to Len Wein and Dave Cockrum trade paperback. Was this?
This was
I'm kind of surprised they're collecting it this way. So Marvel was doing a lot of these tribute issues where they had several different artists draw like all the individual pages that with the same exact script as the original. But then I think there was one or two more that they'd solicited and canceled. And for a while there was a trade paperback that was like an Amazon solicit that didn't even make it to catalog, that was just going to have all of the tribute giant sizes, which kind of made sense. Instead, we're getting this collection that's the original Giant Size X-Men, a classic, and then this tribute side by side, which will be fun because you'll have them in the same book. But I wonder if that means we're going to, I forget what the other two were. It was like maybe Fantastic Four #1 and Amazing Fantasy. I don't know. I have to go look at the solicit. But I wonder if this means we'll get those as their own collections as well.
This is the one that was released in a gallery edition, right? Like what you just
yes,
described.
it was a
Giant
gallery.
Okay. So it is collecting the tribute issue as well as Giant Size #1, 200 pages, $29.99. The best artists in comics pay loving tribute to the book and creators that changed everything for the X-Men. I love projects like this. It's so cool.
It was
Is
really
the
fun,
tribute,
honestly.
1-to-1, like 1 page per 1 page?
No.
They follow the exact script, but they
did they?
some of them panel differently.
In the gallery edition, it's different. It's like you have the main story. Here, let me just go and get it so I can show you.
But I mean, is the tribute treated like a 1-to-1 ratio? Because 200 pages, that's not. There's got to be more than just.
Well, no, there's all the extra
Giant
stuff that they
sizes
put
in
in the
there.
back too. Like there's the variant covers. There's the homage covers. Let me get you the gallery, and then you guys talk amongst yourselves for this.
I think you promised me that gallery edition that you're going to be bringing here.
No, don't lie, because I've already given away things I shouldn't have already.
So
Here.
originally, this was going to be in a collection called Marvel Anniversary Tributes, which was canceled. And that was going to have the Giant Size X-Men tribute, a Cap tribute, which I do think came out as an individual issue, a Fantastic Four tribute, which I do think came out as an individual issue, and then a Hulk tribute and a Thor tribute that, if I'm not mistaken, never actually happened, which is why that book never came out. Sorry, I'm down my own personal rabbit hole here because this has been bugging me for a while, trying to figure out where all these comics went.
We have the Masterworks, the two Masterworks that were in this catalog were going to be new, but I haven't had a chance to announce them yet. So I'm trying to announce all of them together. But there were two. So it's not like that line is canceled, I promise. Speaking of the Mighty Marvel
Just
Masterworks,
holding out on all of us.
Not all of you. I'll share some with you, Curtis. Mighty Marvel Masterworks, the Fantastic Four, Volume 4, the Frightful Four. I'm so glad they're continuing these. I love these books, and so do my kids. Both of my kids picked. Alicia picked Namor as her favorite read of 2024.
I saw that. I was like, the taste of that.
She loved it.
That's
I was like,
great.
really? She's like, I like that he's kind of reminds her a lot of her father, she said. He's kind of a bad guy, good guy. I was like, yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Fantastic Four 30 to 36, annual number 2, $15.99, 208 pages. And Mighty Marvel Masterworks, XMen Volume 4.
Nice.
Oh, it's the new costumes era. Oh man!
So these books here are the same trim size as the Premier Classic series that we talked about earlier, and they're the same price point, $15.99, right? But these ones are 224 pages. The Premier Classics are up to like 400 pages, so they're double the page count for the same price as these ones here. So you're getting a heck of a deal on those Premier Classics.
So those are $14.99. And the build is a little different. I need to film my overview of it so people are ready for it. They're using different paper stock. It's not the glossy paper stock that they're using here, and even the cover feels different, Curtis.
That's how they can keep the price point down. Then they're using a
yeah.
paper.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of like the DC compacts, but yeah, it's cool that both companies are making these more affordable books for people to try to get them into these stories, right? And I think DC Compact, DC seems to be really all in with that stuff. Like they are just advertising and marketing for it is crazy.
They've even got their own trailers about it.
Yeah, on WWE or whatever it's called now. And speaking of advertising, if you're interested in purchasing any of these books and you live in the EU, check out wellscomicshop.com. And you at the checkout, you use the code nearmintcondition, all one word, to get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order of over 40 euros or more. And we are currently working on our next choice of a near mint condition variant cover. So it's really cool. It's really cool to like choose and have a meeting with them and like talk about like what should be on it. And yeah, pretty cool. So let's go back to the beginning and talk about these books really quick. Give them everybody.
I thought you're gonna get that gallery edition.
Oh, geez, man, I've got.
All right, guys. I have control of the chat now, but feel free to talk amongst yourselves while Omar finds his gallery edition. How are you all doing?
This is the best.
We're gonna take this over for the next 5 minutes or however long Omar decides.
That guy. Let's talk about him now that he's off.
He's pretty awesome. He's a great guy.
Thank you, Curtis. I'm gonna give Curtis a raise. So here, let me show you real quick what this is like. So this is the giant size X-Men book, right? So you've got the tribute pages, and I think it is 200 pages. You've got the breakdown right here, and this is what the trade paperback should be like. So it is one artist taking each page of that classic giant size X-Men and redrawing it in their style. It's so cool, man. This was such an awesome project. Man, can you imagine if they had done this in the 90s with like Silvestri and Jim Lee? Man, all these artists that I grew up with. And then they have the giant size back here, right? Makes sense.
Okay.
And is that the original?
Yeah, so they printed that in the gallery edition, which will also be printed in the trade paperback. And then after that, you have like all these articles, and you've got like the look at that Trad Moore Oh my, I don't even know what the heck that's from. You got the variant covers, the Dave Cockrum cover. I didn't even know about this cover. That's really cool. It's really cool. And then you've got like articles back here with Chris Claremont talking about how awesome he is, because he is.
His favorite topic.
So good. He's so good. And then this is just a breakdown as to like what these covers are. Alex Ross talking about like the homage, and then breaking down each page is what they forgot to tell you. This is so cool. This is like Kevin Nolan talking about the layout of this page and why he loves it. And I wonder if like each artist got to pick the page. Can't be, right? That's like, I'm sure the big names got to pick the page they wanted to draw. It is a beautiful, beautiful book, right? If you like modern art and if you like classic stuff, that's what this is.
And it's
So that
also
will be-
the gallery is also 200 pages, so it's probably going to be the exact same 1-1.
Yes.
imagine.
Yeah. I think this is right at 200
Yeah,
pages.
it's 200.
200 pages. Yep. Right at 200.
Nice.
So that will be it. That's what it is. I don't know if that's still in stock or not.
I believe it's out of print.
Okay. Thank you for that. Fantastic Four Solve Everything. This is the Marvel premiere. And then we have X-Men Gold, Blue and Gold, which if you really want us to, well, we can come back and talk about it. Symbiote Spider-Man by Peter David Omnibus. Namor the Submariner Omnibus Volume 1. Danny Ketch Ghost Rider. And this is Volume 2, the NAM 1966 to 1969. Not written in 1966 to 1969. Written in 1986 to 1989. 20 years later. The Mighty Thor Omnibus Volume 5. And the art of Captain America Brave New World. Amazing Spider-Man Gang War Omnibus. Not to be confused with the previous Gang War. This is the new Gang War. And stamp seal of approval here by Dom and Peter for Storm Volume 1.
Hell yes.
I'm curious what they're going to pick as their pick of the month. Captain America by J. Michael Straczynski, wrapping up his series of Volume 3. Avengers Assemble, the Serpent Scenario. Ultraman Avengers. Didn't even know that was a series, honestly. And then Alien, the complete collection of Philip Kennedy Johnson's Galaxy of Nightmares. The Star Wars Battle of Jaku, and SpiderGwen Ghost Spider Volume 2 by Stephanie Phillips, Deadpool by Cody Ziegler Volume 2, The Death of Wade Wilson, Spirits of Vengeance by Sabir Persada, and Ultimate X-Men Volume 2, The Peach Momoko Era, Wolverine by Saladin Ahmed Volume 1, Venom Wars Zombiettes, and Venomous, trade paperback, and Miles Morales Spider-Man. If you're just now joining, the Masterworks are not part of this because I'm trying to gather those up and do a proper announcement. And New Avengers Modern Era Epic Collection, The Initiative, Volume 3, New X-Men Modern Era Epic Collection, New Worlds, Volume 2, Annihilation Modern Era Epic Collection, our first event epic, Ultimates, getting the seal of approval for the design of the book itself by Curtis. Ultimates Epic Collection Superhuman Volume 1. Thunderbolts Epic Collection Volume 3. The Invincible Iron Man Epic Collection Volume 7. Whew, I almost said Omnibus. Fantastic Four, the new printing of the Epic Collection Volume 18. The More Things Change. Fantastic Four by Morrison and Lee 1, 2, 3, and 4. And Spider-Man Legend of the Spider Clan. There's this whole argument here between Curtis and Dom, and Curtis, let people know, don't mess with Canada. Spider-Man, Jeff Loeb, and Tim Sell being collected again in trade paperback format. The giant size X-Men tribute to Wayne and Cockrum. And Mighty Marvel Masterworks, Fantastic Four Volume 4, Frightful 4, and the Mighty Marvel Masterworks, X-Men Volume 4. Now, I ask you, Adam, sorry, what is in the Thor Omnibus? While my folks think, what's the book you guys are most excited for? I'm going to ask Curtis first, but let me go back to this. Here we go. Thor is Thor 229 to 266, Annual 5 and 6, Marvel Spotlight 30, and Marvel Premiere 26. What was the date and price on that Namor Omni? All right, Larry, I got you, buddy. Hold on.
Hey, Larry, Happy New Year, buddy.
Also,
Can't
that.
wait to be on another one with you. We gotta get a good stream with me.
Oh, he would have been good with this one, man. He would have been all over.
know,
More.
I told you there are a lot of classic books this week.
I know. I just can't get my head straight, man. I need to.
I'm sorry, Larry. That's on me. I should have bothered Omar.
No, that's on me, Larry. What were we talking about? Namor. Okay, that is coming out in July. And what did you want to know? The price: $125, 912 pages. Thanks, Peter. He didn't scroll back. I scrolled back. What the heck did Peter do? All right, Curtis, what are you most excited for? You're excited to buy a new mic. That is strike 3, my friend.
He's
Go on.
muted.
That's it.
Let's do fun lip reading. Curtis says, "Oh,
Out of the books that I'm not going to buy, the Nam is really exciting because I'm hoping that becomes an epic collection pretty soon.
Okay.
But I am definitely on board for oh man, I just lost it. New Avengers Volume 3 because I really like the last 2 volumes. So I think that's
Was that
probably
your
the one
first
I'm
time
gonna pick.
reading any of that, Curtis?
Yeah, it was right. That was right at the time when I stopped buying superhero comics, or I pared it down to like just the ultimate stuff. I started with the I think I did the disassembled stuff, and then shortly after that, I was like, I'm dropping all this stuff. I just needed to trim back my budget, and I wasn't particularly interested in stuff. So going back to this stuff now, I'm loving it. I think it's great. All of these modern era epic collections that they've picked have been quite stellar. I've been really enjoying them.
Whoa.
And for the most part, they're all new for me.
That's awesome, man. I love hearing that. I'm glad that you're getting enjoyment out of something, you've been reading for a long time and you're still getting enjoyment out of things you missed out on that
Oh yeah.
made you kind of leave. What about you, adorable Omni Dog? What are you most excited for, brother?
I am excited for the Nam. I read that back in the day in floppies, but of course I've forgotten all of it, so it'll be brand new to me. But I'm also very excited for Symbiote Spider-Man by Peter David.
Oh, I'm surprised you don't have those already in trade paperback. I figured you made this happen.
As a matter of fact, you're welcome. I just pulled them out to give away. I just pulled them out to sell to Second and Charles. I never got a chance to read them, so
Well, now's your chance.
I will. Big fan of Peter David, and of course, I love Greg Land just as much as Peter does. So I can't figure it out. Sorry, both the Nam and Symbiote Spider-Man.
Okay.
I want.
Got you. Yeah, good. Guys, I'm sorry I missed the stream. My mom has a new visiting nurse. I'll watch your replay. I just want to say how thankful I am for meeting you all you guys this past year. You guys are awesome. Thanks, man. And I hope your mom is okay, buddy.
Yeah, peace, Matt.
Dom, what about you, brother?
I am a really, really big fan of historical books and books that happen to take spot at a certain point in history. And I think for that, Nam 66 through 69, very interesting that they didn't call it Volume 1, decided to call it by the years that it took it instead. I want to delve into it. I'm a big sucker for anything Vietnam War. In terms of history, in terms of overlay. So that will probably take my spot on a top spot on the list. I'm also very curious to see what they decide to remove from Fantastic Four Solve Everything. If and only for the case of it, they're saying it's abridged and you're not going to be able to get the full story. So I'm going to assume they're going to cut out bits of the Thing issue that I really, really loved in this specific story. So I think those two are probably the ones for me.
Okay. Peter.
Well, it looks like we're heading towards possibly a clean sweep because for me it is also the Nam. I think significantly in this catalog, if I'm not mistaken, that may be the only book that is collecting issues that have been previously uncollected from before 2024. All of the epics are things I think we've had already. So, I always love uncollected material and I've wanted this for so long and there's no effective collection. I think there's 2 or 3 classics trades. So I really, much like Dom, I have a soft spot for things that have a specific place in history and especially collected in a nice prestige format. I think to me, having this in Omnibus is even like it's a different thing than having X-Men from the same period in Omnibus, because it's a book about history that is a lightly fictionalized version of history, almost like watching Mad Men. And so I always find those sorts of things very compelling.
To add to that, what you all have been saying about this, about history, there is a difference between history when it's adapted or written by somebody that was actually there, and then having it like written. I think of I don't know if y'all have seen like Band of Brothers or The Pacific.
Yeah.
And then the latest one was Masters of Air. And there's a huge difference between Band of Brothers, because those, a lot of those soldiers were still alive, like being interviewed by the end of Band of Brothers, and Masters of Air, which feels like Hollywood fan fiction in a way, and not truly like a period piece, like from somebody that was there for these accounts. So it's really interesting, and I think that's why this was a big surprise. This is a book that I thought Marvel had forgotten about, and I know it made it in our top 60 most wanted Marvel Omnis, but I didn't think they would do it, and they are. So it's wonderful.
Yeah, and I think going off that point, Omar, something I've definitely said, talking about this before, is for those of us who were around in the 80s, Vietnam was still very fresh. It was still very much part of the public consciousness and the public conversation. People in your life were Vietnam veterans or had lost men in their family to Vietnam War who had been drafted. It was acknowledged by TV shows. It was very alive in conversation, and it's not as much now. And it's really interesting to hear somebody like Dom say that he's really interested in the Vietnam War, because I feel like it's a war that people have lost awareness of over that time. But at this time, when it was coming out in the mid 80s, there were plenty of people to talk to who had real experiences. It wasn't like trying to make a book about World War II now. This was something that there were people that were just in their 30s and 40s who had, been there for. So I think that goes to your comment about like the veracity of it. People that had that experience were very accessible. The history was fresh.
Mm-hmm. And being 20 years away. I mean, remember, like, that was the Punisher's origin, right? Like, he fought in the Vietnam War, and I don't know what it's been retconned to after all these years. He fought in a war, right? He was in a war. I always think of like things like that, how time like just changes everything. Like Batman walking out of the Mask of Zorro movie with his parents, or Bruce Wayne when they got killed in like Crime Alley. And then years later, I thought, well, maybe one day they'll have to change that, right, to modernize it. So they'll be walking out of the Pokemon movie. But it never happened.
Oh my god!
And for me,
go ahead. Sorry, I was just going to say, as somebody that grew up during the Vietnam War, throwing out my boomer credentials. It was always fresh in my mind. So when this was coming out, I was still thinking about it, and I found these issues. While Omar said that they were limited because of the Comics Code Authority, and I get that, I found the veracity of them to be pretty compellingly on point. For a comic book, I thought, I'm really excited that Marvel is putting this out in omnibus format. I'm not going to get a comp copy like certain people are, but I will pimp the hell out of this on my channel.
Pimp the hell out of it.
I will. I am going to make everybody buy this.
So it's great, and I think it's one of those books that's so obscure that odds are of another printing. Like, I saw some jokes, Of course, I see the jokes every time I make an announcement. This will be at Ollie's, and I'll pick it up. I need to remind you, Jim Lee and Chris Claremont Omnibus Volume 2 made it to Ollie's, and now like the comments are insane to get that book back in print, which will probably come back to print. But then something like this, I don't know.
Yeah, this is a really important book.
For me, I'm going to go for the less important book, but it's a book that we helped happen, and that was the X-Men Blue and Gold.
That DM cover, baby. Oh,
X-Men 3? Oh, hell yes. Yes, all the way. That's the Shattershot cover. I actually have a tie of that.
That's awesome.
Melody bought me a tie with that cover. She knows
that's so cool.
of X-Men. it's one of those books that has been, out of print, both of the OHCs, and now you're going to get them all in one place with a brand new mapping and proper mapping. And much like I joke with Curtis about the Epic collections, but I have praised the mapping of the freaking X-Men Epic collections to no end. They're mapped the way that I would have mapped them, and maybe that says a lot more about me than the mapping. But I think they're mapped to perfection. It's what you do, right? Like you to me, collected editions are about giving people the best reading order experience, not necessarily publishing order, but the best reading order experience. That's what matters to me when it comes to collected editions. And I think sometimes it takes a little bit of work to try to get these things figured out. And I think they did an amazing job in the Epic collection. And it looks like we're finally getting. I wish this book had existed, 15 years ago when those oversized hardcovers were coming out, because I would have bought that crap out of it. Of course, $150 15 years ago would have been a little different. I would have been like, wait, I don't know if I can buy that, or we won't be eating. $750 is just Marvel Omni. It's going to be an expensive month for my pre-orders, with everyone else's April solicitations yet to come. Oh yeah, we still haven't seen DC's. We'll see that in the third week. Dom does those.
You are correct.
On both accounts, yes.
And now Marvel should be out the next week in terms of documentation for the rest of the public, including single issues. That should be at the 4th Thursday of this month.
Okay. Are Epic collections oversized or regular? Curtis?
They are regular, exactly the same, not exactly the same size, but pretty close to the same size as they originally printed as regular comics.
And this is comic releases right here. Yeah, so I want to know what the rest of the chat is. What is the one book that people are most interested in? I see a lot of love for the Nom here.
Good.
Let me go back to the beginning here when I was asking these people. Most excited for the new X-Men, and we got some PKJ Alien Collection, the X-Men Blue and Gold, New Avengers, probably Blue and Gold, though hopefully we'll have a bit more clarity on what Marvel are doing with the line when the time comes out. That's going to be interesting. Let's do a stream, Peter. No, me and Jess, we'll do the live stream on the X-Men mapping.
Oh, Jess make great maps. That's going to be awesome.
Yes. Yes. Map making.
Really surprised all the new Avengers.
Map maker, make me a map. Find me a map. Catch me a map.
X-Men.
I love this.
That's what makes it easier to pick up books for my nephew. Yes, thank you. That is what it's. I need to read what Phenomenal AC wrote. I love the fact that we are getting all these awesome books at different price points. It makes it easier to pick up books for my nephew, right? Because when you think about the next generation of readers, it's not going to be like, here's a $150 omnibus, kid. I hope you like X-Men. Blue and Gold, baby.
Which is why we need epic collections of Power Pack, because Kid Crisis is like a shark circling my shelf asking for the Power Pack omnibuses. I'm like, no, the omnis are not for you. You'll get it when it's an epic collection. So get on it, Marvel. She's impatient.
That would be a good one.
Mike, get the Peter
like that
David
series.
symbiote Spider-Man, the Nom Omni. Love that Marvel is going more obscure but well remembered. The Nom and the tribute book, Danny Ketch, Ghost Rider Volume 2. There's some good ones in this, man.
Mm-hmm.
Nom's a total coup. Not major kudos to David Gabriel for fighting to make that happen. I think it's one of those books that really, it would have just sat there, and people, I think there are a lot of books out there for both Marvel and DC. X-Men Omnibus and the Ghost Rider Omni, plus New Avengers Epic 3 and New X-Men Epic 3. Best from those presented. Okay, I agree. The Nom too. The Nom Omnibus is such a wonderful surprise. Michael Golden and John Severin are, oh, dude, the art is amazing. And Michael Golden really loved drawing those issues too. X-Men Blue and Gold and Iron Man Epic Collection. And let's see, I've tried for years to obtain those issues of Namor. Is that your choice, Larry? Would you say Namor number one? Oh, this is a good question. What's the best Thor omnibus? JMS, Simonson, or Aaron? Out of those three, I'm going to let my friends vote. Curtis, hope you got it.
I think you could have the chat vote.
In the chat vote. Okay, fine. Okay, well, the chat can vote. I'm sorry. I forgot. This is a Peter show.
You love the chat vote. You want the chat vote to every one of my books out of the stream on Monday.
Okay,
I was in charge of all my picks.
I'm gonna do it. Hold on, Omar. I'm gonna do it.
Oh, thank you. Dom can do it. That's right. Dom, can you get on that, please? Thank you.
Dom,
I
my
will
good
answer
friend, I
as
think the
you
chat should
asked.
vote.
Okay.
I will answer because I only like the Aaron Thor out of everything. Yeah, I read Simonson. It was
Mhm.
great, but I wasn't going to reread it.
Okay.
Thor by Aaron, I just think is so great. I love it, and I will keep it forever.
Okay, that's one vote for Aaron. Curtis, best Thor run.
I am going to have to say, I mean, I haven't read all the Thor runs, so I can't say for sure, but I really, really liked the first half of Tom DeFalco's Thor
No.
run.
Out of
That's
those
my
three
favorite.
that he gave us, Simonson.
Sorry, which
You
are the
can't
three?
go rogue.
Sorry,
Well, there's no DeFalco Omnibus, so
oh, I see. Okay, then
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll pull up the question again, man. Hold on a second. That's on me, Curtis. That's not a strike against you. I should have left the
Really?
Curtis. Okay, I'm being nice. It's a new year, new me, new year, whatever the hell people say. JMS Simonson.
Oh, I see. J. Okay. Well, I have read all of these ones actually, so
There you go.
that's good. I think I'm going to stick with Simonson. I think all of the world building that he did was absolutely essential. The other two wouldn't exist without Simonson's run. Although it's close though. The other two are super good too. Although I think Aaron would be my number 2, and then JMS number 3.
I'm loving all these different choices. Hey, Kenny. Dom, what about you, my friend? Did you put the thing up in the chat?
I did indeed put the vote up.
Okay. So everybody go and vote. So Mikey can go and buy a book. What would be your choice out of those
You
three?
know what?
If you
Through
read
all
them.
of its ups and downs, I think the one that I have enjoyed the most writing wise out of those would probably be Aaron. But man, I it's hard for me to go past JMS because man, I love Olivier Coipel and Laura Martin, both teamed up in the interiors of that book. So, but yeah, I think I'll choose Aaron out of the three.
Okay. Peter.
I have read all of those. That's tough. I think for me, Aaron is the most satisfying one. And by the way, I would not say the JMS. I would say JMS Gillen as we have it now. The original JMS Omni just stops, but Marvel fixed that by putting out the JMS Gillen. They are, however, 3 of the best single. Well, not single because Aaron's 2, but they're 3 of the best omnibus reads that you can get from Marvel. Really outstanding. Couldn't go wrong with any of them, honestly.
Wow. Okay. I'm surprised by a lot of these answers. So for me, I'm going to go with my favorite, and that is Walter Simonson's Thor. I can see Jason Aaron's Thor being more accessible though, because you don't like Jason Aaron's Thor has this heavy metal badassness to it. Even the art by Ezad Ribic, like kicking it off, like it's really freaking. You get that Viking energy from it. But the world building that Simonson did and the characters he created, and I don't think anything will ever top that Scourge issue where he stands on Valhalla. That is a masterpiece. That brings manly eye sweat to me every time I read it. I love it. But that's what I think. I will let the chat, you all go and vote though, because Dom was kind enough to go and vote or put the poll up. Jurgens is just as good though, but he didn't ask for Jurgens. Remember, he asked for
the
those three. Yeah. Do you ever find out why Thor was crying? What was he? Oh, in
a
Deadpool. In Deadpool Wolverine.
Deadpool.
Jess, have you seen Deadpool Wolverine? I'm sure you have. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Couldn't remember if you went to the theater anymore or not.
That was the only movie I saw in the theater last year.
I will say though, Omar, I guess partly unrelated, in the 6-7 years that I've been into fandom, and because of how many people have been misspelling his name or abbreviating it, I'm super happy that I'm now able or have been able to spell Straczynski correctly.
Ooh, that's
JMS, baby.
Off the hat of the bat, so I'm proud of that.
Babylon 5 fans, rise up.
and that's why I chose you as my protege, because you can spell it, and I still
I
say
can't even spell DeMatteis.
Oh yeah, that's
it
a
throws you off. It throws you off a little bit with the DE. I still
I had
I
to
still say
decide.
JMS. I'll be honest with you. To play it safe, I still say JMS or write out JMS
Right.
instead of spelling it out. Dan Jurgens is like, "Where's my invite, man? Where's the party?"
We'll get him on the
I
channel.
had to
so Omar
decide
can
if I
tell
was.
him.
I had to decide if I was going to memorize how to spell Sienkiewicz
Mhm.
or Straczynski, and I chose
both are easy.
It's
Sienkiewicz.
either or. It's a zero-sum game. Curtis is only going to ever learn how to spell one of the two.
That's right.
Like Curtis talked. Curtis was on mute. No, were you on mute
Nope.
again? You were not.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, I think I was, but I'm back now.
Okay. Hey, for the people in the back, Straczynski.
It's really not that hard.
Is that right, Dom?
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Look at this.
Nice.
One of the few voters that voted on JMS, and I think JMS is a wonderful starting off point.
I
You know,
agree.
Thor's getting
It's
his memories
so,
back.
It's so
There's
fun.
no-
It's such a
There's no
huge tournament.
Asgardians. He's got to go and like find them like Pokemon and catch them and try to get them up and going. Yeah, man.
The only drawback though, Omar, of me being able to spell a lot of names is that I cannot say them for the life of me. Like I always find a way to butcher them. Like I've been saying Bagley instead of Bagley for the last like 5 years. People
Well,
always
welcome
have
to
to
the
correct
party,
me on the phonetics.
This is the home of collected editions and mispronouncing people's names.
Ah,
All
Lane
day.
Wayne.
It felt similar to bagel, so I can see where you're coming from.
That's what I've been saying, but no one ever lets me go on that for whatever reason.
I think of Community with what's her name, Bree.
Yeah,
Bagel. She says bagel, and everybody makes fun of her.
like you know what I'm talking about. I don't know if there's another Mark Bagley in the industry.
I
Well,
don't know.
Yeah, we just read them. We never hear them actually pronounced, and names are hard.
I know this one. Chichester.
How about
There you go.
Mitch Gerads? Gerads?
The
know, it's
guy
funny,
who
like,
Tom King always works with. Mitch.
Everyone always says Gerards, and
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no extra R there.
Nope.
But is it a hard G or a soft G?
I don't think he sometimes like does his signatures too with Mitch and an exclamation point too. So it's like, I don't know.
Oh, come on, it's the only modern thing Omar knows, and that was like 1997. You're not wrong, Ivan. You're not wrong. Maybe Peter works for the Daily Bag. Yeah, it's all Larry's fault if you don't like the way I say. Now you put me on the spot. Dang it. Buscema. Right?
Buscema.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
All my life, I think it was Bus. How did I say it? Is it Buscema? Maybe. How do you say it, Curtis?
Buscema. Like it's not a sh sound in the middle.
No, that's Ezad Ribic, right? Is that right? Ezad Ribic, not Ribic.
Yeah, because he has the accent at the end of the C.
Can you say
One that I just learned really recently is Alex Malev, not Maleev. It's
Yeah.
Malev.
Curtis? Because before I did an overview of the book, I was like, Curtis, how do you say his name? Because I don't want.
Yeah,
I've heard it both ways.
and I only
didn't know it was Malef.
and I only know it because I was working with them on that book there. So that's it's all very interesting.
Trimpe.
Yep,
Chichester's
Trimpe.
from a town in England, though, and that is pronounced Chichester.
Chichester.
Yeah, but
Chichester.
DG Chichester's from the Bronx, and he's like Chichester.
On
Like,
that
that's
one,
how-
I know specifically because I asked him how he pronounced his name, and he told me Chichester.
Wait, what about
Hmm.
Chiquetto?
Kiketo.
I think it's
Chiquetto?
it's
Yeah,
Italian.
that's
So
what
it's
my Australian friend, who is apparently advanced in phonetics, told me. So yeah,
I don't know if I would trust an Australian to pronounce anything.
that's the problem.
New Zealander.
And I say that as a Kiwi.
Newsboy, you could just say Vincent Deegan,
Arnar.
like his real name.
The thoughts of Crisis do not mirror the thoughts of with Australians. Thank you, and Kiwis. Am I allowed
I
to say
just
that?
got canceled off of Omnibus channel, and I wasn't even
Vincent.
there.
Vincent
All right.
Deegan, baby.
So Frank Quietly is a play on Frank quite frankly, but people pronounce it quietly. Frank
Quietly.
quietly.
Yeah, they mix up.
I can see that because you see
letters.
the letters together, and in your brain,
Yeah.
you're like, well, that says quietly.
That's
And
how
he-
brains read. We tend to read, we scan. That's real science. You scan the first letters of
Absolutely.
the word and the last letters of the word, and you kind of just assume what the word is. And so it took me years to realize that it was Frank Quietly, because I thought it was Frank Quietly because we just look for familiar shapes. That's how we
Well,
read.
and he did that issue of Nuff Said too in the UX
Right.
ones. Think, oh, that was a quiet issue. That's how I'll remember.
And that's how
what
you knew his name.
works in
Wait,
comics.
so it's Sarah Pichelli and not
Kelly.
Pichelli?
Yeah,
Sarah
Pichelli.
Pichelli.
Yeah, all the
I know.
Italians, the CH is hard. It's a hard.
Okay.
Yeah, because in
all
like
of it.
Latin America, the CH is always che instead of ke, which
Oh,
is the Italian way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how are we saying Gerads? Mitch Gerads.
Mitch.
Mitch
It-
Gerads?
I don't know. I've never seen an interview with him, and I met him a couple of times, but I've never been like Mr. Gerard Gerads. I like your stuff.
Maybe that's what we got to ask next at a Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Pronounce your last name.
So you know the colorist, the colorist Steve Buccellato.
Yep.
Buccellato.
Yeah.
And he'd always shorten his name to in the comics to the Buse. That would be like he called himself the Buse, or he signed his name that way. But I was talking to him, and he said that he recently found out that he had been pronouncing his
that's
own
wrong.
last name incorrectly. It should be Buccellato.
Buccellato. Because my
Buccellato,
best
yeah.
friend growing up was Bucciarelli, and they were like straight from Italy. And they were Bucciarelli with a but that's no H. CCI in Italian is ch.
Yeah,
You-
that's right.
You
Yeah.
know,
Triple
when I'm-
Ho just put up the extra R in it for Gerard's. It's not
Yeah,
Gerard's.
I love that
There's
you
no
said his
R
name.
there.
You're like Triple Ho.
He was right on the Pichelli.
Omar, we could have a
Um,
whole stream of this. Why don't we just
yeah,
get
this
all
is-
creator names, and then we all just take turns being
This is a
infested with
great
culture.
idea.
But
Yeah.
we should all five of us should contact 5 different creators and ask them specifically how to pronounce their names, and then we bring it all back to a live stream where we educate everybody.
That's a good
During
I got,
idea.
I got dibs on Jim Lee. I got dibs on Jim Lee.
I was gonna say Kelly Thompson.
Come on.
Yeah, Kelly Thompson.
No, wait,
I
Leah
got
Williams.
one
I got
segment,
dibs
right.
on Leah Williams. I go talk
We
to Leah
had-
Williams.
We had Stepan Chazik on
Chazik.
the minister, and I interviewed him, and he said he will not tell people how to pronounce his name because he thinks it's so funny how badly we butcher it. And so I've gone through like 7 different variations on it, and I have no idea which one's right because he won't confirm it. So I can guarantee there's going to be 8 different people in here telling me how to say Stepan Chazik. It would say, oh, the J is silent, the S is silent, the whole name is silent. He won't.
To add to that,
That one's
ahead, I'm
Mitch.
sorry.
I got that one. Doug
Mensch?
Mensch. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, to add to what Jess was saying, when a buddy of mine, when he was the marketing director at Top Cow, he worked with, however you say his name, and he asked him, how do you pronounce your name? Because he doesn't want to butcher it during meetings and stuff. And he said Bulgaria, and then dropped it at that.
That's it.
That's it, Bulgaria. That's how you pronounce Sajik. So I'm like, all right, I guess it makes sense there.
I guess
This
you just phone a Bulgarian friend.
You
then,
won't-
in that
Dude,
case.
this
won't-
is the one I have problems with because there's a baseball player that pronounces it one way,
Oh, yeah. Mark Texiera.
right? And then I've heard no, it's Texera, and then I've heard it's Texiera, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm Latino growing up in Kentucky, man. Somebody make up my damn mind.
Well,
what do I-
there was a guy in the Yankees who had the last name Mark or Teixeira too, and that's how all the announcers said. So I'm like, you know what, Mark Teixeira, I'll just go with that. That's how we do
Okay.
it. Yeah.
This is a good one. I know
Oh,
Curtis
yeah.
has interviewed him, and it's Bachello,
Yeah,
right?
that one's Baccello, and I
Baccello.
that one's Baccello.
Thought I
And
had
I
it.
know that
Russian names, man, they
he-
get you.
That's how
Thought it was an Italian name.
I've heard him pronounce that one. I've heard him pronounce that one himself. So Baccello.
Cello.
The Shay.
The
There's
Shayra.
no way.
The Shayra.
Tech. Well played, dude. I love his artwork. Love his artwork. Teixeira.
Yeah, Teixeira.
Yeah, that one was hard. And Bill Sienkiewicz, I think, was difficult before the internet.
Yeah.
I had never met him at a convention, and I think I tried, and it was like Sienkiewicz or something like that. It did not sound like the way he pronounced it.
Sienkiewicz, baby.
Yeah, the internet, man, it just makes things easier and difficult at times.
Meeting him at a convention was so wild. I met him in a really tiny, like one-room convention in Philadelphia, and I was like starstruck because to me he's a rock star of art, not just comic art, just art in general. And he just was like making small, hi, how are you? Oh, I'm so glad to hear you're a fan. Yeah, I'm just drawing Elektra. Like it was unreal. And I haven't met a whole lot of comic creators, but I think if there's any of them that I built up in my mind that was just gonna be larger than life, I think Sienkiewicz was one for me. And then to just like have a casual chat with him just totally blew my mind.
That's great.
I remember going to a con, and again, 30 years ago. And he was there, and he was doing at that time free sketches. Like he was just drawing sketches for people because that's what artists did, right? Like they signed your book, told you to have a nice day, and he was doing a free sketch. I remember this guy walking away with a magic sketch. And even back then, 30-something years ago, I was like, dude, you should have paid him something. Like, that thing is beautiful. Like, how did you not pay him that? He's a great guy. I've been to cons. I've been to a few panels with where he is, and super nice guy, down to earth. I really like talking to him. Yeah, I don't think he's changed since then. Yes, Bill Sienkiewicz is probably the sweetest guy at cons. Great. Reminds me a lot of the
Hey James,
the energy that George Perez would bring, right? Like George was just so kind. Favored the lady cosplayers, but that's okay. I completely understand. Sign this sweaty dork's freaking Wonder Woman, or I'm gonna talk to this lady that's dressed like my Donna Troy. You know, I don't blame the man. That sketch would cost 10,000. Oh, dude. I
just put it on eBay and say Marvel Rivals.
Oh,
About to get on that after the stream is done.
Are you switching over to your Twitch streaming career, Tom?
Yeah. A couple of my viewers said that I should be starting to stream Marvel Rivals on Twitch, so I am very much heavily contemplating if I should start that today.
Taught me how to say his name pre-internet. What is this stream right now? I
don't know, but if you are in the chat, I will give you all one more minute to finish up on the best.
Oh yeah,
you haven't closed the poll yet. Oh, that's negative.
Well, yeah, hey, we weren't at 100 votes up until like 200, so or 500, wherever you guys are living. So
and hit that like button if you're still here. Obviously, you're here for a reason. We're talking about how to pronounce people's names and get made fun of. So,
and if you haven't yet, smash that like button to show your support for us in the channel.
And then you want more of this content, the content we're doing right now. It's what you want more of.
All right, 3,
Sienkiewicz. Bill Sienkiewicz stole $300 from me at a 2014 con. What? Screw that guy. I paid him for a sketch. He said he'd get it done. He didn't do it and said to follow up on email. I did. Then he ghosted me.
Whoa.
That doesn't sound like a nice guy. Man, I'm sorry that happened to you. That actually happened to another friend of mine, but I'm not going to say who the artist was.
Neil Adams.
And it's somebody that I really like. I love his artwork. And
it was me, and it was Neil Adams.
You did not pay for a sketch for Neil Adams, was it? Did not happen. You would not pay for a sketch from Neil Adams. That sucks, man, because something like that will ruin stories for you.
Yeah.
Right? Like you can never go back and read
that's a good point.
Like, you know, the Demon Bear saga. Let's say like that's your favorite. You can't go back and look at it the same way because you the whole time you're just like, screw that guy and screw that book. And that sucks, man. I'm sorry that happened. Here we were like, what a nice guy. And
the next con we go to, we'll remind him of that. Yeah, where's Adam's sketch, man? Give me $300 so I can send it to him. Give me back the 300.
then we'll get arrested because he's gonna be like, these guys kept yelling about some guy named Adam, and I think that guy took my wallet. That Latino dude took my wallet.
We'll have Melanie ask.
The fans.
Sweet.
All
I
right.
gotta get one of you convention people to get me a Greg Land sketch. That would really complete my life.
I will do
Figure
it.
a way out, Pete.
How about
will
I
do
send
Peter.
you the photograph that he
No, I want evidence that pen went to paper live at a convention. That's
All right.
I want it witnessed. I want a picture of Omnidog standing there while Land sketches it.
I'll make
will
it happen.
that.
I'll make it happen, Crisis. We'll do it.
We'll
We'll
both
do it for you. And we did hit 135 votes, so I will now
Where we at?
end the poll. And where did the results go? Oh, there we go. All right.
All
Best
right, what we got?
Best Thor Omnibus, 135 votes. 54% of those going to Walt Simonson.
Ooh.
31% of the chat opting for Jason Aaron Volume 1, which has the famous God Butcher saga. And 14% going to J. Michael Straczynski's Thor. So there you go.
I hope Mikey loves comics, or Mikey Comics is still in the chat, or maybe he just got bored and was like,
He's
"Screw it, I'll just
long gone."
Google it. I'll just Google it. I don't care what these guys think." Every time Omar refuses to name a creator that did something bad, my mind immediately goes to John Byrne, and I don't know why. No, it wasn't Byrne this time. It was Arthur Sudam is one of the biggest bullies that could be, and Liefeld has gone off a few times. I didn't mean to turn the chat that route. I was like, let's talk about people we like. I mean, I think at every convention I've had some bad experiences too, because I've been going to cons since like 1989, I think was my first convention. And I've had bad experiences with people that I like. I've never paid for something that wasn't delivered though. But then again, I don't also collect like original art. I don't collect sketches. I wish I did. But I've seen some creators, especially at the top of their game, treat fans not the greatest. But I've also seen a lot of creators just be down to earth, great people, and creators that I don't really enjoy their work. I was like, you know what, man? Because you're a nice human being, I think I like your stuff a little bit more. So I don't want to speak ill about it unless somebody personally asks. Yeah, I saw Kristen's rant about Don Rosa. Don Rosa's an angry old guy, though, and I love him for it. But that's the thing. It's like some people can't be around curmudgeons, and I kind of like them because they kind of remind me of like.
That's why I'm on this show.
Yeah, I love Jess.
Well, also there's some creators who are like fake nice, and that's their personality, especially the ones that are in our social media age, and then they're like not actually that nice. And that's a bigger. I would rather you just be a curmudgeon and be true. Like I'm a curmudgeon. I try to live that truth. Than like be fake nice and then be like actually not really nice.
Oh man, that's the worst when they're fake nice.
I will say that as creators can have bad days too at cons. So I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt because my Jim Shooter story was he didn't say two words to me. He like signed my Pharaoh Lad issue, which was awesome. He just put Shooter on it, and then signed my Legion of Superheroes omnibus and put Shooter on it. And all he said was, "Yeah, I wrote this Pharaoh Lad issue when I was 13." And then it was $20 a signature, I found out. But then Larry met him at Lexington Con or wherever he went and had like a 20-minute lovely conversation with the guy. So yeah, he could have been in pain that day. He's tall, he's older, he could be having knee pain, something. So I don't
that you went very, very like biology class with that.
Well, it's a good point though that creators, I mean, they are media figures by virtue of working in the media, but they're just trying to make some comic stories, Like we talk, who cares if they're nice or not? That's why I do separate art from artists to a degree. It's like I don't expect any of them to be great television personalities. That's not why I love them. So I also give a lot of benefit of the doubt. Like it really doesn't change my opinion of their stories if they're nasty to somebody on social media, or else there'd be so many creators I wouldn't read whose art and writing that I love. So I definitely just watched reading what's his Trungles is the artist name. He does beautiful tarot cards. He has comics, and he was saying or maybe it might be they. I'm so sorry if I got it wrong. That they just like are so tired of having to figure out how to appear and make nice, and like, can't they just be a weird goblin on the internet and put out their art? Like, why did they have to do anything other than be a goblin? And I feel that deeply. And they are they, so both were right. But that's Trungles. The Magic Fish is the original graphic novel by Trungles.
I will say,
I am so jealous, Dana.
Oh wow!
Signing books and doing little sketches inside of each one for free. Oh gosh, one of my all-time favorites.
The happiest creator on the planet right now is Daniel Warren Johnson. He stands there for 6 hours with the biggest grin on his face, so happy that people are coming up to him. And just, I mean, the smile never leaves his face. He's so excited and happy to be in this industry. I would stand in line again to talk to him. He is just so happy. And I think that's how Mike Allred is too. And I am 99% sure I'm going to go to Heroes Con just so I can get something signed by Mike Allred.
We'll be there this year.
Yeah. He was such a happy guy when I interviewed him, and some guys are just happy. Maybe they don't have bad days. Those two guys seem to be just generally happy, but I would, if I was at a con signing all the time I can see why sometimes people
I do think of you, man. Like when I think of these artists and writers that are sitting there, and like Crisis said, and also not everybody's a people person, right? Not everybody has the same kind of personality.
Yeah.
And you're forced to go out there to promote your book, and you don't want to. You want to stay in your basement writing your stories or drawing your stories. And your agent's like, no, you need to get out there. We need to get, you and Tom King or whomever you're working with, you need to get out there and sign some autographs. And you're like, man, I hate people. I want to stay home and watch the freaking Golden Girls.
Right? Could you imagine if I had to go to conventions in order to be on this channel? Then I'm
going to force you to do that.
I would be happy. I don't want to leave this room.
Yeah. It's unfortunate for anybody who's an introvert. Having to be at a table being the center of attention is definitely way more exhausting. And I could see them like surviving for half a day and then having to tolerate the second half of the day, but just wanting to retreat the whole time. And that's hard. And I know I've been learning a lot about Michael Allred because I'm working on a book, an art book with him for Marvel, for Clover Press.
Pre-ordered.
He's an introverted guy too. So I'd go earlier in the day for him probably. But I also learned that he prefers to be called Michael, not Mike. He doesn't like being called Mike. So don't call him Mike.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is when you interview some of these creators, their agent will be like, by the way, do not call him Art. He effing hates that. And I'm like, oh, I've been calling him Art Adams my entire life. When I go to conventions, I will never. So when Arthur Adams came on my show, I was like, how's it going, Arthur Adams? And he was like, oh, I'm doing great. How are you doing? Because I was not going to start it with like, what's up, Art? Art. Yeah, that's funny because some artists or some writers and artists don't like to be called certain names that I think most of us just assume that they do. All right, before you all leave, there's a very important question from Richard Fearing. Hold on a second, let me see if I can find it. He's been asking, and that is, what is your absolute all-time favorite X-Men moment in comics? All time.
Oh,
Curtis. I've got a lot. So I've actually done a video on this. But what would yours be, Curtis?
Wow. That's a hard question.
wow.
It is. Yeah. That's why I asked you first. You look lost. All time, Curtis. It's your choice. While you think, does anybody have a choice already that you're like, man, I love it so much, I'm gonna get tattooed on my arm?
Okay, so I think maybe
Oh, you got it. Okay.
the moment in Fatal Attractions when Wolverine busts out his bone claws for the first time.
Oh,
I just
issue 75 of Wolverine. Yeah, it's a good one.
yeah. I think that's just I mean it's not the most groundbreaking or like important scene, but I just loved the way that it was presented. And I remember reading that issue and it was like turn the page, like holy cow, it had such a good effect. Great
Right,
drawing.
because when we were kids, we didn't know. Right, there were bones in
Yeah.
there. We just assumed adamantium was put on his, and he was didn't know. Man, there's a lot of good ones. Peter, do you have one or 20?
You know, it's a moment that I didn't fully appreciate when it first came out, and now I do, which is kind of like Powers of X 5 and 6, when you realize like everybody's alive and everything's on the table. And looking back now, I'm like, nothing's ever going to beat that for me. And then I think of so many individual scenes of people coming out of the eggs in Krakoa and like characters that you're like, oh my God, yes, they're back. And that all kind of comes from Powers of X 5 and 6. And then Powers of X 5 and 6 also have some other great moments in them. So I think, especially having done that show with you earlier this week, Powers of X 5 really is solidified for me as some of my favorite X-Men moments of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, those are good, and that's why you spoke. That's why you almost talked me into putting them in there. Almost.
That's okay. We got equal amounts. It was very evenly weighted, and that's okay. Dom, we decided we want to see you do a show like that with potentially Oatfell to pick your favorite X-Men book.
Oh, I would love that.
The
That would
Young version of the show,
right? So I'm curious what you two would pick that Peter completely missed.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. Oh my gosh. Top X-Men moment for me is easy. Maybe it's just because I'm a new reader and all that, but there's the moment in X-Men #1 by Jonathan Hickman, Lionel Yu, Jerry Allen Guillen, Sonny Gao, where it's Scott talking with Lorna and sort of about like how he's never had like a moment to like breathe and think about, well, I've been getting shot at all my life. This has been sort of the way that like I've been raised up, and finally him getting a chance to see like his family is back, the people that are in his life are back, all of his teammates are with him in this one spot on Earth that they can call home, and him looking back with the sunset, it cemented me that like I knew that I was gonna be in this for the long run, no matter how good, bad, whatever the comics might be, the characters might change. I knew at that moment, I was going to be an X-Men fan. So that for me is my #1 X-Men moment.
#1 X-Men. I love it. That's great. I love that we're all coming with different stories and things we remember and why they mean something. What about you, Omni Dog? What's your favorite?
I can't find it, and I know I'm going to butcher it.
It's okay. I love the chat is chiming in too.
I am an fine. I found it.
All right.
It's the it's in House of X Powers of 10, and Emma shows up with the Stepford Cuckoos in wait, let me see what issue this is. Chapter 6. Chapter 6. She strolls in with the Cuckoos in the court, and as she turns and as they're leaving, she says, "It's a brave new world, darlings. Best get used to it."
Love it.
I love that.
Yeah, that's good, man. Honestly, dude, House and Powers had a lot of good moments. Like Cyclops was so badass at the beginning of that series when like Professor X is asking him to practically commit suicide going up against Orcus, and he's like, does it need doing? And Professor X like, yeah. He's like, then consider it done. I was like, whoa, man. Cyclops hasn't been written that good in years.
That's a great question he asked.
Yeah, it is. I like this. There's a lot for me. But honestly, I think damn it. It probably goes back to X-Men, Uncanny X-Men 227. It's the fight against the adversary where the X-Men have to sacrifice their lives. Oh man, I love that issue. I love it because the adversary is like a godlike supervillain. He's not like a mutant, and they know they're gonna die, and they're sacrificing their lives to save humanity, right? Like to save the very people that hate them. And I thought that was done so well. It's the moment where the reporter like tells Wolverine, like right after he's done recording them, after they say goodbye to their families and stuff, like he just says, "Sir, I like to shake your hand," and that gets me every time. That's X-Men. I love it. And that reporter's actually, damn it, what is his name? Peter, you remember?
No.
Neil Conan. Neil Conan,
Oh.
who's based on one of like a real NPR reporter that was friends with Chris Claremont. He passed away a few years back. But yeah, man, I love that. Thank you so much. That's a good one. That's a good question. Because there's been so many.
We should-
so many great moments.
You know, a good stream might be starting with that question and filling it out with other books. Your favorite moment from the greatest book ever, Black Hat by Jed McKay. Your favorite moment from Gwenpool. Oh, those are just one Omnis. But I mean, like your favorite Hulk or your favorite Moon Knight, Fantastic Four. We could do a whole show on just that. That's a really good question. Although I know
I like
everybody
this
knows
because we all have different opinions, right? Oh man. Yeah, that was a great question. What was the worst moment? Oh, it's X-Men. There have been plenty of those.
There's so many to choose from.
Husk and Angel doing it in the sky with everybody watching below.
Really hard to beat that
Chuck
one.
Austin worst moments too.
That's got to be top 5 worst moments.
Where did that even come from? And it's got Kia Asamiya on art. What? Oh man! But you know what? I will still buy the hell out of a Chuck Austin. I'm a completist and an X-Man fool. That's my life. Maybe we'll save that one for the next time. But I just want to thank my wonderful panel for being here. We've gone almost 3 hours, which is just not what I planned when I do this. And Melanie was making fun of me. I'm like, I'm gonna be 2 hours. She's like, whatever. You'll be down there for 3 hours with your friends. And I'm like, okay, maybe 2.5. That's on me. I am a liar. But that's it, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna let my wonderful panelists sign off and where they can be found. So starting from the top here and all the way down. Curtis.
Epic Marvel Podcast. And you can search for Epic Collections on Facebook, and you'll find me there talking about Epic Collections. That group has been going for about 7 years now, I think, and we're having a great time still talking about Epic Collections. So thank you again, Omar, for inviting me on this stream so early in 2025. Happy to be here.
Happy 2025. OmniDog, what about you, my friend? Where can people find you?
They can find me at OmniDog's Vault on YouTube. 2025, I will try and get better at social media posting because now I got fakakta blue sky I have to deal with, and I didn't even know I already had an extra name in there. And Instagram and all those other things, I'm going to get better. That's my New Year's resolution. I'm going to get better at doing social media. So OmniDog's Vault on YouTube. I always do stuff there. That's where I'm most comfortable. Peace and love.
And Curtis, when is the next Epic Collection live stream?
Well, I'm back in town on January the 6th, and so maybe I'll do on January the 7th.
There we go. And Dom of X, buddy, where can people find you?
You can find me, of course, on Dom of X on YouTube, right there at wherever James is linking at. You can also find me on comicreleases.com, where we have all of the release date information updates to the minute. spanning to August of 2025 this year. Wow, I need to get used to saying this year instead of 2025, which is going to take me 4 months, it feels like. I'm apparently also streaming Marvel Rivals sometime later today on Twitch, as per the suggestion, which, James, if you can link that, I sent you a link to my Twitch via DM.
You don't have to tell James squat, okay? He was already on it. How dare you?
Never mind, James. There you go.
Wow.
So yeah, I will be probably playing with a friend later today. So yeah, hopefully we'll have as much fun with me on that, getting killed to the death. Yeah, people hate it when I play Jeff the Landshark, so enjoy me.
Is that your main, Jeff the Landshark?
He's my third main. I main Psylocke and Mantis in Marvel Rivals.
Dude, Marvel Rivals has boosted up my freaking TikTok. All these kids asking, can you do like where to start reading Magic? And I'm like, why are people wondering about Magic? Then it got like 30,000 views, and I'm like, I need to talk more about Magic. And then I found out it's because of Marvel Rivals. I had no idea this was even a thing.
Is that what is that? Is it a fighting game? Dom, is it a fighting game?
It's if you've played Overwatch or any other, it's a third-person shooter game, but with Marvel characters.
Okay.
And so playing online with other people being the other characters.
Okay. And you form a team.
Fortnite kind of guy.
You form a team. Yeah. You're on your own. I think you're on your own. Oh no, you were on a team. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And Peter, my friend, what about you? Where can people find you?
Well, I'm known throughout the comic collecting internet as Crisis with a K. I've been writing crushingcrisis.com since 2000 and had comic book guides since 2010. So that's 14 years of guides to just about every Marvel character. We're scraping the bottom of the barrel now. I just did a guide to Kraven the Hunter. So we're really getting down to some nitty gritty Marvel characters. But I'm also there talking about new releases from the perspective of how do they map? What series are they a part of? Where are they going to get collected? How do you get into that? Where is a good starting point before that? So I know blog is a word that not everybody knows anymore. Think of it like a Wikipedia that gets updated regularly. That's sort of the same thing. And I hear rumors, whispers in the willows that I might be appearing on my YouTube channel next week, which has laid dormant since 2021. But I can neither confirm nor deny where those rumors have originated.
Will you be appearing on the second Tuesday of the month on my channel with Freddie?
I appear every second Tuesday on OmniDog's Vault for our monthly Jammin' on Comics, where we respond to the chat and occasionally in the middle of that talk about comics and music that we love.
It's chaos.
Magic. We'd have to take that to TikTok.
That would be.
I don't think YouTube has caught on yet. And I am the Uncanny Omar. This is Near Mint Condition, and we are out of here. Thank you so much for watching. Check out cheapgraphicnovels.com. You can get books up to 50% off, including pre-orders for some of the books that we talked about today. Those pre-orders should be opening up here in the next couple of weeks. But that's it, everybody. Thank you. And yeah, hopefully I'll have some new announcements, including those masterworks. I'll have to send an email to remind them. Stay healthy and safe. Smash that like button on the way out. Have a great day.
Peace and love.